Oh, that was a weird ad, guys. How's everybody going? Well,
Did
welcome
you-
to episode 202.
202.
That was a lot. That was a big ad. Did you guys see that?
How did that get on our channel there?
I am baffled.
Baffled and confused.
I'm gonna write my senator. I have a family-friendly stream, and
Mercules, how's it going, man? I was saying before the show, I cannot believe that this is your first time on the show. We have talked about you more than any other person who's ever been on the show by a long shot, because you make the spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, that's my claim to fame is the weapon stat spreadsheet. So I'm happy to finally be here, guys. Honestly.
We're happy to have you, man. Thank you so much.
you look good too.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. They got the Florida sun beaming down on me, giving me that nice rosy glow and everything. So yeah.
You're a Florida man? I didn't know that.
I am a Florida man, born and raised. So take that how you will. Maybe look at my spreadsheet a little bit differently.
The passion comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
Florida
We're all
man
crazy
passion.
about something. I just happen to be crazy about time to kill. So
There you go.
TV is here as our co-host, who currently
I
looks
am.
like he is hanging out in a bar, and I'm feeling very relaxed.
Right?
I'm feeling
Yo,
jazzy.
this is my new setup. I moved my whole office setup, and I love it.
It's in a new spot.
Yeah, you're hearing hooting and hollering in the background because my wife's playing Fall Guys. But this was our sort of vision. We were gaming because my wife and I game together. That's how we met. We met playing Halo together in college. And so we wanted to be able to game together down here in our sort of gaming area. And we were on opposite ends of this big, awkward basement space. So we got new desks. We got them all like right next to each other. It's like a T shape with the T going right down the middle between the two of us as we game. We would talk. And so this is our new setup and our new cave. And we love it.
That's nice.
awesome.
I have the same yelling problem when Tomo's in here he's playing League of Legends, and I'm like, oh no, this is going to be very loud.
That's right.
My wife gets very excited about knitting.
Yeah.
There you go.
Making Briar's new Crocs. Let's go.
Knitting Crocs. Get yourself a pair of hand knit Crocs.
I don't know how long those would last
Etsy.
for. Yeah.
Probably about the same time as regular Crocs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a ton to talk about, though. But before we do, I wanted to mention that Mercules, you're also on the Firing Range podcast, which, am I crazy? What episode did you guys just hit?
Oh, geez. I want to say 11.
11.
Has it been that many episodes?
I think
it
so. I
doesn't
was
feel like
gonna
it's been
say
that
10.
many, but yeah.
So
Yeah.
you guys do that bi-weekly. It's not every week, but you've been doing it for quite a bit of time now. How's that going? How's the Firing Range podcast?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome, man. I don't know if there's a better group of guys to sit there and talk about the Destiny sandbox with. I mean, that's pretty much the focus of the podcast is the sandbox. Talk about weapons, subclasses, balance, strategies, everything like that. I mean, we have people from all across the spectrum. We have mouse and keyboard, super competitive players like Cammy, all the way down to people like, myself who are pretty much Xbox exclusively and controllers. So we run the gamut in terms of what we like to play and how we play the game. And we've got a lot of opinions there. So if you like Destiny PvP and you tune into that, you'll probably hear someone there who echoes your own sentiments. And you'll also probably be challenged on some things you believe too, because, it wouldn't be a discussion without people disagreeing. So
every time I listen to the show, I learn a ton. I listen to the show every week because I like post it to YouTube and I make sure everything sounds good. And I enjoy listening to it because I just like learn a lot. It's like you guys talk about stuff I don't even think about. Like it's not even on my radar until you guys bring it up.
Yeah, it's awesome. The fact that Pope got everyone together to try to do a show like that. I mean, we'd kind of been like talking about it, just batting the idea around on our own outside of it. But we never really got serious about it. And then Pope just kind of brought us all together, and within like a week, bam, the show was up there. And obviously, like any show, you have growing pains the first couple episodes. But I mean, I can't believe that I'm lucky enough that on every other Wednesday night, I just get to basically log on and talk about Destiny for an hour and a half or 2 hours with, a bunch of really cool people.
That's how we feel. Like,
So for people,
anytime someone comes in and they're like, I love DCP, I'm like, do really?
Yeah.
Weird. That's weird.
So for people who don't watch the show, in an environment where the sandbox changes so infrequently, how do you guys keep each episode fresh?
Well, at certain points in time, like right now, when we got the season pushed back by like 2 months, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But we're fortunate that all of us, somewhat weirdly, like all of us very much enjoy off-meta playstyles.
Yeah.
So the wonderful thing about Destiny is with so many weapons and so many subclasses and so many perks, there's always something new to try. And there's always something that you can mix and match. I mean, you do this a lot too. I actually saw you and Destiny Fun Police and Slick were talking about the other day on Twitter, but like there's always some very, very weird niche specific build that you can put together that just absolutely dominates when you play it the right way. And you know, between the 5 of us, we're finding a new one of those like every single week that we want to talk about. So yeah, if we ever want to run, if we ever really do like run out of stuff to talk about, there's always like, what did you do in the Crucible this week? It's like, let me tell you about
inventive?
this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
There, I feel like since Crucible Radio kind of they stopped making that show too, it's like you guys kind of filled a gap that was kind of needed in the Destiny community. You know, like a Crucible focused show and like people talking about like, you know, what you should be using in the Crucible to like get ahead. You know, like I missed that old Crucible Radio show. Those guys were great.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever be able to live up to what Crucible Radio did just because I want to say does because I wish, you know, they're obviously the guys are still around. The show's gone, but they were just on like a whole different level of what their podcast brought to the community. The guests that they had on the podcast were, you know, basically second to none. Like I used to tune in because the stuff that I would learn from the guests that they had. I mean, they had Bungie guys on it, you know, relatively regularly. And it was just some of the biggest knowledge bombs that were ever dropped on the community were dropped on that show. Yeah. So, you know, we hope to be able to walk in the footsteps of that show and, you know, maybe one day be a fraction of what they were. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of a niche that's a little bit unfilled in the community right now. You know, my other podcast that I do is a much, much smaller podcast called Massive Breakdowns. And we do what Firing Range does, but on a much, much like deeper level because, you know, it's just, it's not for, it's a very niche show in its own, right? So we can get like really deep into the weeds and we can go on for a very long period of time about stuff that most people would be like, why the hell are they still talking about this stuff? So like we kind of tried to do that. And I think Firing Range is a good evolution of that. That's like more friendly for everyone, not just for the people who are like, I want to hear about adaptive auto rifles damage for 2.5 hours. Like that's what Massive Breakdowns is. Firing Range is like, why are adaptive auto rifles so good right now? What can be done to counter? So it's kind of a nice little mix of stuff. So
yeah,
it's the full nerd.
Yeah. perhaps too much, perhaps an overload. I always warn people, like Firing Range is like the family friendly version of the sandbox, and then Massive Breakdowns is like you're getting the sandbox whether you want it or not. It's coming. So.
Well, we got a ton to talk about tonight. The TWAB this week was, I don't know, like I on Twitter, it seemed like people were pretty upset about it. When I read it, I was like, well, this was exactly what they said was going to happen.
Sure. We're going to take your stuff away. Okay. Yeah. Here's the stuff we're taking away. What?
You didn't say you were going to take that away.
We told you these planets were going, so all the stuff with the planets is going, and you're mad that the planets are going. Stuff.
That's what it is, right? It's like it is a list of all the stuff that's getting taken away in November when the new content drops in November. Here's the stuff that's going into the Destiny content file. And I think to say taking it away is a little bit weird because we know it's coming back for sure.
Right. It's
most of
vaulted.
it. Yeah. It's getting temporarily vaulted. And, you know, I think that them saying that the Vault of Glass is coming back in November is kind of like, it's almost like a good faith statement. Like, hey, you know, you'll get some old stuff back. We'll take it away. You know, that kind of thing. But seeing it in a list, I think is what upset people. It's like, itemized list of everything that's going to be gone.
That's right.
Some of what you paid for.
Is anyone really going to miss Savathun's song, though, if we're being honest? Like, some of the stuff that's going away, I look at it. I know people are like, oh, Outbreak Prime is going away and Whisper is going away. And, like, those are kind of a bummer because they're the most, you know, fun activities, arguably, that have been put in, you know, the game. But at the same time, like, how many people are actually playing that day in and day out right now?
Yeah, right.
You know? If you want it to be there so that you could potentially play it at some point in time in the future, maybe, but it's like if 10 people played it yesterday, is it really worth, you know, keeping it around when you could put stuff like Vault of Glass in that, you know, a lot of people are going to play? Or
yeah, and for me, content in a game, it has always been, for maybe lack of a better term, a consumable purchase, right? I purchase content and I weighed my way through it, and I enjoy the experience. I enjoyed that content, but it's almost like when I buy a sandwich at a store, it's like, I'm gonna spend some money on this sandwich, but I know full well an hour from now that sandwich is going to be gone. And for me, gaming content is a lot like that. I don't do a whole lot of revisiting. Like Briar and I were talking before the show. I looked at Savathun's song on the list, and I was like, I've played that strike 3 times this year. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I'm not really a huge PvE guy, but I mean, that's sort of the way that I see content in a game. And honestly, for the price point up front, I feel like I got my money's worth. So I don't personally get too upset when I see stuff going away and new stuff coming into the mix.
Real quick, I want to as quick as I can, go over the stuff that's getting taken out, like on this list.
Yeah.
So on November 10th, when the new DLC comes out, we're losing the planets Io, Titan, Mars, Mercury, as well as the Leviathan, which isn't a planet, but it's a destination. Strikes, we're losing the Io strikes, the Pyramidion, and the Festering Core. Titan, Savathun's Song. On Mars, Strange Terrain and Will of the Thousands. And on Mercury, Tree of Possibilities and a Garden World. For Gambit, they actually gave us some information about Gambit, what Gambit's going to turn into. We knew they were going to merge Gambit and Gambit Prime, and now we know that it is going to be a single round mode, and they're gonna make adjustments to it in the future. That they're not ready to talk about. But I'm kind of happy it's going to be a single round mode. Maybe because I don't like it.
I like Gambit Prime, but I really don't like the boss fight mechanic where it's like rotating invulnerability. I mean, I hate invulnerability in all boss fights, and it's even more frustrating in Gambit Prime where an invader can deal so much, they can sway the outcome of the match so hard that if you have a good invader and you're playing with Randy's, which happens a lot in Gambit, the primeval phase can literally last for what feels like an eternity. So they did say that they're going to make some changes there. I hope it is something where it's like not as many invulnerability stages, please.
They are going to move 2 maps out of Gambit, Cathedral of Scars, which is the one on the Dreaming City, and Kel's Grave, which is the one on the Tangled Shore.
Yep.
There is a long list of Crucible maps that are getting moved to the DCV. Meltdown, Solitude, Retribution, Citadel, Emperor's Respite, Equinox, Eternity, Firebase Echo, Gambler's Ruin, Legion's Gulch, and Vostok. What's that? 11 maps.
Right, you were muted, but at the wait, you were counting in your head.
11 maps.
I know. I was worried for a second too.
I was like,
a brief moment of panic. When's the last time we saw Emperor's Respite? When was the last time it was even in rotation? And
it's in the Rumble rotation.
Is it?
I don't play.
And it was in the comp rotation for a while too. It's not anymore. There was a season where it was. I actually really like Emperor's Respite. I always did. And in Control, it was a little imbalanced just because of the placement on the flags. But I've always liked that map. The ones here that
That's
I see
the one. I'm sorry to interrupt. Is that the one on the Leviathan where it's like it's a huge outdoor one, and then there's half of it's inside, and there's like there's one part where it's kind of a sniping rain over this like
over a chasm.
Yeah. Okay.
It's actually a really pretty map.
Yeah, it was actually the map that they used to showcase the PC PvP for the first time in Destiny 2. I don't know if you remember that. The first D2 PvP on PC trailer they ever launched was on that map. It was honestly, I think the biggest bummers here would be like I think a lot of people actually really like Retribution.
I love Retribution.
Retribution is a fantastic map.
I can't recognize maps by their names, so can you
describe
Retribution?
Donut.
Yeah, it's the circle. It's flying in the air. It's the Cabal ship. Yeah,
Cabal Donut.
The Cabal ship donut. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I know that one.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of circle maps and Destiny 2, so it's nice to see at least one of those because in D1 we had a lot. Obviously, Black Cauldron is a pretty famous circular map, but
Gambler's Ruin was actually pretty well received in the doubles playlist as well. I really like that map, and I'm personally bummed to see it go. I know that I might be in the minority there. Did you like that map, Mercules? I'm curious. How did you feel about Gambler's Ruin?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, was that the map that we got late because we were on Xbox? Was that
Tangled
the PS
Shore?
Yeah. So I mean, I liked it. I mean, it's still in comp right now, isn't it? Can't you play it in comp, or has it been pushed out?
I haven't had it in my comp rotation.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
fixes right now.
Regardless, it's not bad enough that I know it immediately off the top of my head as one that I hate, like Solitude.
Sure.
So, Solitude is probably my least favorite map that's been in Destiny so far. So,
Solitude is really
yeah. Solitude's the one where it's like whoever gets into B first, and then
True.
just sits in B, and as long as they don't die, they'll just live there
Briar's
forever.
like trying to pick up all the cues of what the map could possibly be.
Solitude is the Mars map.
Yes.
That has the one indoor area in between, like in the middle, and then there's 2 outdoor areas that sandwich it.
Oh, okay.
It's the one where Graviton Rock used to be.
Graviton Rock.
We played Trials with no radar, and people would just sit with the Graviton.
Okay.
And
I know what you're talking about now.
Mercules, your camera's like down where you type, so it looked like you were trying to grab me. I was like, oh, hey.
Sorry, I was Googling a picture of Gambler's Ruin so that I could remember that it is the map that I'm thinking of. It is in comp. I have gotten a decent amount of survival.
Okay, I haven't had it
this
yet.
year. So.
I don't mind Gambler's Ruin. I really don't.
Love it.
I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. I don't like Citadel. That can go away.
Yeah, I don't think we're losing anything with Citadel, Equinox, Eternity. Firebase Echo is
that'd be a great big team battle.
Really
if they had something bigger than 6v6, I would like to play it on Firebase Echo, but it doesn't work for me for a lot of the game modes that they currently have.
They're also vaulting some of the game modes: Supremacy, Countdown, Lockdown, Breakthrough, Doubles, Momentum Control, and Scorched.
So Lockdown, right? That's the one that's like control, and you're holding like 2 points, and that's how you get points is if you hold 2.
Okay.
And then if you capture all of them, you win. I think that's like round base.
Yeah, like you have your home base, you push forward, and you win the middle. Right, if I'm not mistaken. If you win the B flag, then you push them back into their spawn, and you have to progress and cap their spawn point to win.
I kind of like Lockdown. I know that it's never been put into like comp, or it's never been put into a place where lots of people access it all the time. So I think probably a lot of people have never played Lockdown because you have to specifically choose to play Lockdown. Same with Breakthrough and Showdown. They're all just in the rotating list. But yeah, I don't know. The game mode thing, I would love just for Destiny to make, or Bungie to make, more game modes that feel uniquely Destiny. Because I think for a long time we've just had, hey, it's Clash, but like kind of different. Oh, it's Control, but it's a little different. Mostly Clash and a little different. So things like Rift, I would love to come back, because that was kind of a play on a classic mode, like Capture the Flag, but it was very different for Destiny. And Destiny, I hope they do more of that, because it seems that Bungie's kind of embraced that Destiny is a fun arena, crazy shooter PvP experience. So I hope that they start making more Destiny.
Embrace that, yeah. I
100%
100% agree. I've always said that Destiny is at its best when it's not taken too seriously, because Destiny doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yep.
So
definitely.
when you try to force that sort of a feel onto the game, it's not a good fit.
Yeah,
I thought Rift was a great game. It was what they wanted it to be, which is, like you said, it's uniquely Destiny, but it's assault, right? It's neutral assault. But I thought Rift was great. I'm very, very sad they haven't brought it back. I actually, deep in my heart, think that with a little bit of tweaking, Rift could have been a relatively competitive mode and like a 4v4 with the right maps. I thought it would have been really fun to watch. It obviously never got that far, unfortunately. But yeah, they leaned really hard into like the mini variations of round-based, like capture zone, capture point things. Like we had Countdown, Lockdown, Breakthrough, like, even Survival and Showdown are both round-based as well. Like they leaned really hard in the round-based direction. I don't think any of those were really like knock them out of the park hits, unfortunately.
No.
So it's interesting that they're bringing Showdown over to the available PvP modes. They're keeping that one, and they're kind of leaving the other ones, leaving them out to dry.
It's kind of disappointing, because Showdown is it? I keep forgetting which one is which, but it's just basically Clash. But in order to get points, people have to stay dead, but you can get points, deny points by rezzing people.
Right. So I played it when it was the rotated the other day. It's actually pretty fun. My biggest issue that I had with Showdown is that it promotes super, super passive play, because the revive timer is like 45 seconds or something crazy. So you can just sit there and wait and stay dead for a long time, and you can push up and get 3 kills But then if you die and that guy revives all 3 of his people, you just got 0 points and you're dead. So it definitely gives you more strategy to think about than something like survival does. And I like that you can revive someone and take a point back because that feels really cool. But I just feel like the focus is almost more on getting revives than it is even on getting the original kill. Which kind of makes for a really passive, slow experience. And if we know one thing about the Destiny community, it's like they don't like passive, slow PvP. So
yeah, it is. It does make it slow, and also I feel like there's gonna be, if we put this into a place where more people play it, like if you put it in comp or you put it in a regular rotation, I feel like people are gonna get really frustrated playing with random people because they're not good. They're just gonna be smashing the respawn button. They're gonna respawn, and then you're gonna be like, dude, I was right there ready to res you, and you just respawn, which could get extremely frustrating. So I don't know how well it plays outside of a pre-made team. Oh, Brian would do it all the time.
I can literally see a teammate running toward me, and I'm just like sitting there, like mindlessly hitting the respawn button.
I think a lot of people do that. They just spam respawn.
Yeah, it's just a habit from like every
ready
other
to
game
go.
mode.
Yep.
I even do it in Clash, like 6s, like when it doesn't matter. Like you're not forcing your own, so you're just gonna do it anyways. I still sit there and spam square.
Or Trials when you can't even respawn. And you still sit there and
like,
just like, it's like maybe if I press it enough, it will.
That's right.
It's like a nervous twitch at this point.
Yeah.
Speaking of Trials of Osiris, they did make it clear that the Trials of Osiris experience is not impacted by other content moving into the content vault. The Lighthouse will continue to be available for those who are able to complete a flawless passage. Raids and dungeons. They're not actually moving any of the dungeons into the content vault, which I think will make pretty much everybody happy. But they are moving basically all of the Leviathan-based raids, right? Leviathan, Eater of Worlds, Spire of Stars, Scourge of the Past, and Crown of Sorrows. So Scourge of the Past was in the last city, but the rest of them actually take place on the Leviathan.
Yep. Get all your stuff. Get it now. Do it.
And obviously, we'll get a new raid. I mean, I'm not sure if the redacted and available raids in November. I mean, that's not. Do you think that's talking about Vault of Glass, or do you think that's talking about a complete?
I don't think so, because they openly talk about Vault of Glass.
Right. So why would you put it as redacted?
I don't know. Well,
I think that's
theoretically there's going to be a new raid in November, right? Yeah. Besides Vault of Glass.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, it's because we also plan to. So it is a new raid because underneath it, I should have read further. It says we also plan to bring the Vault of Glass into Destiny 2 at some point during year 4.
This isn't the podcast you read on, Mercules. This is.
You just make it up. You spend an hour talking about something, and then you read the next line and realize that you've been completely wrong.
You just wait for Twitch chat to,
Yeah, when they tell you you're wrong, you ignore them.
Yeah, exactly. See, TV gets it. Exotic quests are changing. A lot of them, I'm not going to read through the whole list, but a ton of them are basically going away because the original quest in some way requires you to go to one of the places that's no longer available. But they do say that eventually, not necessarily right away, you will be able to get these exotics or catalysts. Catalysts are doing the same thing. You will be able to get these exotics. You will be able to get these catalysts done. But it might not be right away. So if you really want like something like Izanagi's Burden with the catalyst, you probably ought to get on that pretty quick.
Yes, definitely. I would prioritize heavily exotics and their catalysts that are going away. Just get them done. Because when Bungie says it's coming back eventually, you don't know when that's going to be. It could be 5 years
that could be in
from
2
now.
years. Yeah.
Destiny 2 year 9. Yeah.
Exactly.
They also say like some of the associated stuff is going away, like story missions and cinematics, adventures, secret missions, vendors and associated bounties, destination-specific patrols, collectibles and scannables. So that's going to like impact, like if you haven't gotten all the scannables or all the collectibles from a location, those are just going to be gone for a while. Like who knows how long. And who knows if those will make a return. Like if we get IO back in 3 years, is it going to be the same? Are all the collectibles and scannables going to be the same on IO? I don't know.
Not.
Yeah, I would think not, but who knows, really? So yeah, I mean, like, it really, we've got like kind of a content drought going on right now. It's not that bad. I think it's like one of the easiest content droughts that we've ever had. but it is long. It's going to be until November. But man, like it is a perfect time to get some stuff done that maybe you've neglected. Like I've definitely neglected like some of the exotics on this list. So I've got to get on it because I want to get these before they go away or they, whatever.
I still don't have Acreus. I thought it was busted in year 1, and I was like, I am not even gonna get that gun because I hate it so much. I still haven't finished it.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I need to get the
full advantage
catalyst
in year 1.
I'm sure you did.
That's the one time Briar's like, "Hey guys, want to raid? Do you want to raid? You want to play Destiny?"
I don't even remember how like the quest to get it. To be honest with you,
Kill a bunch
something
of
about a strike. Yeah, Cabal strikes,
and then
raiding,
Leviathan stuff, and
Cabal.
I don't know. Is there anything else we want to mention from this? They talk
the
about
catalyst for sure. Like, just go get them seriously, because they. So apparently, I saw Forcado put in chat. That they said more about Catalyst, currently targeting having the Catalyst available to earn again by season 13 or 14. It definitely won't be as long of a wait as last time we had some sources of Catalyst removed, but that's still, 3 to 6 months? So if there's a weapon there that you want to be able to make orbs with, because exotics are not being put into sunsetting at all. So the exotics are super, super useful. So yeah, there's something that you want. Definitely focus on getting the catalyst and the exotics. Get it over with.
I highly recommend Sturm, Rat King, and Lumina on that list. Lumina's catalyst is so good.
Yeah.
So is Sturm's, that extra range stability.
I think that's it. They did mention what will New Guardians experience if the year 1 campaigns are going away. They say with some of the core year 1 destinations entering the vault, it's true that the free-for-all players, Red War, Curse of Osiris, and Warmind campaigns will no longer be available. They are building a new expanded Guardian origin story on the Cosmodrome that will launch alongside year 4.
So I'm sad that stories are going, because I think having story content available for new players to play is good. I understand that we probably don't go anywhere near a story, or anyone who's done it once probably doesn't do it again. But yeah. But the fact that they're creating a new origin story and a new way to introduce players to the game is good, because the New Light experience is rough. They just throw everything at you. They don't really explain anything. You do one mission and then it's like, good luck, Guardian, go do everything. So I'm hoping that this is a little bit more friendly to new players.
Well, one of the more disappointing things about New Light was how, obviously you don't need a ton of hand-holding, but there should at least be a little bit of hand-holding, like more than a single mission's worth. And it's like, here's your one mission, you're in the tower, good luck finding the campaigns. Like they're ducked off in a hangar that you're never going to see, So that was a little bit disappointing, because I thought the Red War campaign, as far as Destiny campaigns go, was actually pretty decent. Obviously, obviously Forsaken, I think, was probably one of the better ones that they've done. But it's just kind of a bummer that you like shuffle all that stuff off to the side, and like new players probably need to play a campaign because it helps them to get acclimated to the sandbox and to the game, and they didn't have that. So I know I saw a lot of brand new 750 accounts that are running around in the Crucible that probably didn't need to be in the Crucible.
Yep.
That's a good point. Like when I first start a game, it's usually not going to be the loot grind that hooks me, because I need a reason to do the loot grind. Like I need a big boss to fight. I need like a reason. Why do I want better gear? If there's no reason to go out and like get better gear, then a loot grind doesn't make any difference to me. The New Light stuff is kind of weird. It'll be nice. I'll be excited if I can replay like a kind of like a origin story too, like kind of more similar to what we played in Destiny 1.
I think they did say actually that.
Yeah, it said all players will be able to play it.
That's kind of neat.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
I'll play that.
I mean, there's no lack of nostalgia in this game already. So, but still, that's a big one. They say what's happening to the Whisper in 0-hour secret missions and their exotic rewards. The Whisper is entering the vault alongside Io, so So too is 0 Hour, given the Old Tower was part of the Red War campaign, which is also entering the vault. Their exotic weapon rewards will not be acquirable until we find a new way to introduce them. So if you're keen to get them, make sure you do that now. That's interesting, right? As they say, will not be acquirable until we find a new way to reintroduce them. Like, hey, we're not even thinking about this yet.
It's interesting because it's probably really hard for weapons like that and raid weapons to be like, where can I put them in the game that respects the players who already did this, but it's still obtainable for new players? I feel like that's a tough thing to balance.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You can't just put it in like a strike, right? And you randomly do a strike, you get Whisper. People would be very angry.
They also kind of go over the year 2 seasonal content. That's all going to go away. 8 of 1, Black Armory, Season of the Forge, Gambit Prime, Reckoning, Season of the Drifter, Benedict 66, Warner 9940, Menagerie, all that stuff is going. Pinnacle Weapon Pursuits, Weapon Quests, all that stuff. Like, it really is like put up or showed up. If you want this stuff, you got to get it now, because this is a long list of stuff that's just going to like disappear. Temporarily, maybe permanently, possibly.
I don't know. Not the Reckoning. God, don't take the Reckoning.
You gotta get that title.
Is that the least popular thing that's ever been in Destiny? It might be.
I think it has to be, but they know why it's not fun, right? Like, they built it in a time where supers were wildly OP, and then they almost immediately nerfed all those exotics that made them so good. And it's like, oh, now this is actually really hard to do without those OP exotics. So
Yep.
So, like, how do you guys feel about this? Like, all in all, like going through that list.
Calling.
The calling. Like, do you want this stuff to stay gone forever? Do you care? Are you just looking forward to the new stuff, or do you feel like, hey, this is Destiny stuff. I don't want to see it go.
It's tough, it really, really is tough. But I suppose ultimately, at the end of the day, the way I see it is the more content that stays is the more manpower they have to devote to maintaining it. And what do we want for Destiny? Do we want Destiny to progress? Do we want, a lot of people, there's a large group of people who are out here saying, forget it, scrap it, let's get Destiny 3. I want Destiny 3. You know what I mean? There's actually people who are like, let's just get rid of, you know what I mean? So the more we keep, the more they're tied to maintaining. And I want them to really focus their efforts on exploring where Destiny can go, what it can be. And personally, I have had so much time to devour all this content. I know I can't speak for everybody. I know there's people who just got their hands on Destiny, and I can't speak for them. I don't know how they feel right now, because that's not me.
Oh, like they just got into the game, and I didn't even think about that. You just got into the game, and all this stuff is leaving. I mean, it's old stuff, though.
It's definitely not a content drought for you if you're in that situation. You're standing under a deluge of stuff to do between now and November if you just got into the game and you're trying to do all the stuff that's going to go away. I personally am of the opinion that I don't like removing content from a game, because I feel like the more stuff there is in a game, the more chance there is that the game gets its hooks into somebody, right? But the stuff has to be curated appropriately, and right now it's not. Right now it's like thrown all across the director. And I think the worst thing that happens to new players is they like open it up and it's like, bam, 500 things. And it's really, really overwhelming. And nobody really has a chance to be like, okay, Escalation Protocol and the Blind Well and, even Reckoning to an extent, like those activities are kind of similar-ish activities, right? But there's 7 of them, the forges. There's 7 of them, but they're hidden all across the maps. And you kind of have to find them on your own. And when you get there might not be anyone playing them, right? So, it's either you curate it and you make it a good experience for people, which, like you said, takes a ton of effort, a ton of manpower, a ton of focus, or you probably do need to remove it, because if someone has to do the Blind Well for an activity and there's no one doing the Blind Well, then it's not going to be fun for them. That's going to be a bad experience. So,
that's right.
That's a strong point, because like when the Blind Well was relevant, I was really like sick of it, because I felt like I just had to do it like once to, a bunch of times a week for like a very long time. So I have no interest in going back to that as a Destiny player. But there are definitely players who still need to go in there, right? Like there's quests that require you to go in there. So they're going in there to like an empty play space. So does Bungie have to think about that new player who has to go to the blind well? So we need to figure out a way to get old players to go back. Well, if I get a quest that requires me to go back to the blind well, I'm going to be mad because that's like super old content. I don't want to play it. So taking it out of the game is actually like a pretty elegant solution, except for the fact that, it is content that,
Well, it's Menagerie, I think, is worst thing to be removed. Like, Menagerie is fun and it's a good activity with good, decent rewards. So, when you look at the like 6-player activities that are available, most of them are in open world locations. And then you have like Menagerie. Menagerie is like a shining example of like, this is everything we wanted a 6-player match-made activity to be. Like, you guys learned from all this. So it's kind of like, we're losing that at the same time that we're losing. Because like, I wouldn't mind going back if they updated Menagerie and they put new weapons in the loot pool, right?
Yeah.
Like for the next season, I would go back and run Menagerie again. I like that activity, and I liked the grindability of that activity too. Yeah. It wouldn't be the same for me as telling me to go back and do blind well again. Like I agree with you. Telling me to do blind well again, I'd be like, or just probably no.
How good is this thing that I'm gonna get out of doing it? Because it's gonna have to be really good.
You stick Whisper on the blind well. It's like, good luck. Go do that. That's the only way you can get it now.
Yeah, it's I understand the argument of, so people are concerned that they paid for a thing and then they're going to take it out and then they're going to bring it back and they're going to ask you to pay for it again and you've already paid for it. But I think Bungie's done decently with how they do bringing back stuff and making it part of the free to play part of the game. And you know what? Having Vault of Glass come back will be a good show for this, because raids generally are under their paid content. But obviously, Vault of Glass being brought back means that it's old content. So will that I already mentioned it. Someone already said that all
I'm getting a little robo.
Yeah, connection just got weird for a second.
I think it's Discord.
Yeah.
Discord just took a dump.
Can you repeat that last part? What?
So apparently they've already said that all content coming from the DCV will be total.
Is it dying again?
As soon as she started, they said that.
Okay, listen, I'm only allowed to talk trash about Destiny. Trash only. It's all gonna be $100. The Vault of Glass singly, $100. You got to pay for it.
That came through loud and clear.
$50.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Saying.
Yeah.
Trolls run the internet. Trolls run the internet. You're only allowed to say bad things, no good things.
Yeah, that's working perfectly. You fixed it.
Would you like to finish your thought?
DCV free.
Yeah.
I never know what that means. Don't ever know.
Sorry, we unfortunately we don't have a backup recording either because Tefty's not here. He's abandoned us.
Which he will never do again after the beginning of the show.
We're trying to make damn sure of that. So yeah, what else do we got to talk about this week? Anything else on the docket?
I would say one other thing that I think is important to bring up that we sort of haven't mentioned yet about all this content going away is the storage space.
Yeah,
that's a really big deal,
especially on the next gen consoles.
It's a big deal. It really is a big deal. Destiny's a huge game. And a lot of people are like, I don't want you to take all this stuff away. And they're like, listen, if we don't, you're looking at like, 250 gigabytes of content. I don't know what the bottom line is, but it's a lot. It really is a lot. So I think it is important that we sort of trim some stuff off that's not as popular. And to be fair, kind of going back to what Mercules said, some of that content is like before they got a lot of feedback, before their activities got better, especially in like the loot grind department. Like we saw that with the sundial. It's like, oh, they're finally starting to let us select loot, earn loot in a really positive way. So it is kind of good to get some of that stuff.
I saw a tweet today. I saw a tweet today. I can't remember who it was from. I wish I could quote him, but it basically said, they're taking because they're taking all this stuff away. They must have a hell of a lot of content in this next DLC planned. But I wouldn't count on that being a equal relationship.
No, I
Well,
wouldn't.
no chance. There's
I would not think to yourself, oh, because they're taking all this stuff away, it must mean there's a massive content drop coming. I don't think those two have a relationship to each other.
No
chance. I
That's
mean, when you look at
unrealistic.
so what people play is, Crucible, raids, the strike playlist, and the most recent like destination or whatever the destination is that's got the rewards tied to it right now. And we know we're getting a new destination. Crucible's still going to be there. The strike playlist is still going to be there. Raids are still going to be there. Like the majority of things that people play are still going to be there. How many people are going around doing patrols on Mars right now? Probably not a ton. So we're not getting 4 locations and 8 strikes and 20 Crucible maps. We'll probably get 1 location's worth of stuff. Maybe 1 location, a strike or 2, a raid, a Crucible map or 2, hopefully. And, that'll probably be it. But for the majority of people who are playing, that's probably enough to get them through a season.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Bungie's looking forward here. The storage space is definitely a concern going forward. The most recent Call of Duty is like over 200 gigs, right? It's like you can't do that with the next gen console. Storage is going to be really expensive with the PS5 and the Xbox 4. Like they're using like that really fast storage, and it's going to be really expensive for people to upgrade that. And one game taking up a quarter of your hard drive, like it's
a big deal.
Yeah, that's gonna force some
Yep.
decisions on people. Like, hey, I want to play this
It
new game. Goodbye, Destiny.
They're gonna be like, oh, I can only afford to have 1 large game. All the other games I play have to be, small size, maybe a story game that I can get through and then delete right away.
Mhm.
But there's not gonna be a ton of people that can just keep all of these games on their hard drive that they play for years and years and years. You're not gonna have any space
Yeah.
or money to get more space.
I
That's
think that's going to
expensive.
be really expensive this generation because it's
Probably.
going to have to be fast enough to like. Maybe Destiny will get around this because it's technically, it's running on the current gen hardware, so maybe it doesn't need that next gen, speed on the storage front. But man, every console player is thinking to themselves like, if I could get into my menus faster on a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, like hell yeah,
Mhm.
And I would imagine they're going to be bigger because they're going to have all 4K assets, right? For
I would
I
hope
don't
so.
know.
I mean, I look at it like somebody, because obviously discs are a thing of the past. Like nobody's really buying disc anymore. But at
Shut
this
your
point,
mouth.
yeah, I mean it's a sad truth. But we're going to end up going full circle. We're going to end up going back to cartridges. They're going to be little SSD cartridges that have the game loaded on them. And you're going to plug the cartridge into your Xbox because a terabyte hard drive isn't that much anymore when, like you said, games are 250 gigs. I mean, Microsoft Flight Simulator at launch is 120 gigs,
Yeah.
right? And they're making an Xbox One version of that. Like, number one, that's going to take me 10 and a half years to download on my Comcast internet. And then...
Do you have a data cap?
I do not, but Comcast just sucks in Florida in general. So
Well, we're never gonna get sponsored by Comcast,
There
guys.
goes that sponsorship. Thanks a lot, Mark.
sorry about that. I wouldn't take a Comcast sponsorship anyways, unless they can somehow boost my internet up to acceptable speeds. I pay for 200 megabits a second, and I'll be very surprised if I'm getting about a quarter of that. So
I just got a gigabit connection to the house. One up and one down. 1 gigabit up, 1 gigabit down.
Did.
I don't even know what that is like.
It's $70 cheaper a month than my old connection.
Nice.
We're just in the backwoods here in Florida, man. We don't have that technology.
We didn't have it, and then I just saw like a cable truck coming stringing fiber lines on the street, and I ran out, said, "Who are you? And what are you doing?"
Just plug it right in over there, please.
Yeah, basically, so I had an appointment for an install, like by the end of the day.
Prior Chase, that poor man was like, "Give me your internet, sir. I'm not letting you go until you install this internet."
Do you guys?
And that's what we think about the content vault.
That's the content vault. I don't know what to think about it. I think I'm gonna have a lot of emotions flow through me about the content vault, like over the next 6 months, right? It's like I'm gonna like after it happens, I'm gonna miss some stuff they took away, and I'm gonna be like, oh, I wish I still had access to this because I never, got this catalyst, or I wish I could still do that Crucible map that I really liked. But hopefully, the new content is going to really keep me engaged, moving forward.
See, I think that's the thing for me. Like generally, I don't really mind. A lot of it is stuff that I don't play or don't see very often, and I'm the same as TV where if it means that I get a bunch of new content and I get that content like more often, or it's easier for them to update the game to give me new stuff, then I'll take that. But I think ultimately what's going to decide how I feel about stuff is how good the new content is and how
Right.
much the new content grasps me. Because if it's really good and I'm playing it all the time and having a good time, I'm not
Ain't
gonna
missing
miss,
that.
a
Yeah.
planet. I'm not gonna even think about it.
Yeah, probably. You guys want to do some Twitter questions?
Yes.
More than anything in the world.
Yeah. Well, wait till you see them. You might change your mind.
If they're like YouTube comments, I'm out.
Jay Cooper says, question for Mercules. What animal wins a fight? A bear, a shark, a man-bear shark? Thanks in advance, asking for a friend.
I mean, is it a fight on land or in the water?
Is this
'Cause I
because
feel like
Mercules
that's-
makes a lot of spreadsheets and numbers? Is that what's going on here?
I don't actually
It's
believe
like-
that I'm an animal expert on
It's
bear
like
sharks or
Mercules
man-bear
will
sharks,
know
but
for
yeah.
sure who
Florida
wins.
man here.
Maybe
knows.
it's because I live in Florida and we have sharks and bears down here, but
Maybe.
I mean, if it's in the water, I have to imagine that the shark will probably win. If it's
If
on
a
land, I think
man-bear
the
shark
sharks
shows up anywhere, I expect it in
Yeah.
Florida first.
Yeah, people do some weird stuff down here. So,
So, what's your pick? Bear, shark, or man-bear shark?
I am more scared of bears than I am of sharks, so I'm gonna go with a bear.
True.
Insane.
Will
Smart.
Wilder says, question for Mark. Would you rather sit through a Jags 1 p.m. home game in early September or be forced to play Forges to farm weapons for a week?
Well, I'm a Jaguars season ticket holder for 12 years, so I've sat through a lot of 1 p.m. Jaguars home games and in the Florida heat and early fall. They call it fall. It's really just late summer, but so I'm going to pick that one, and I know Will, so he's also a Jaguars fan. That's why he's asking that horrible, horrible question. It's not been a fun time to be a Jaguars fan over the last as long as I've been alive, so it's been rough.
Is that like a cricket team? I'm not familiar.
It's the NFL team, yeah. So there you go. We're the least known NFL team in the world, probably. We've had one winning season in 12 years. It's been, yeah. I don't know why I buy tickets.
What are they gonna do? Are you a season ticket holder this year?
No,
No, you didn't buy,
Oh,
or did they even
no.
put them up for sale?
no. Yeah, they did. I'm just not going to buy season tickets. I mean, the Jaguars stadium is dirty when there's not a pandemic going on. Like, the last thing I want to do is go to a football stadium in the middle of a pandemic and basically guarantee that I get coronavirus. So no,
That's true.
I will be watching the games from the comfort of my couch this year.
Especially as Florida's having a good time with the coronavirus, I hear.
Yeah, we just reopened schools in Jacksonville. Literally today was the first day back for a bunch
Yeah.
of kids at school. So I expect that's going to have a really positive effect on
I'm
on the
sure.
city and over the
I'm a
upcoming
parent.
weeks.
You're raising my anxiety.
I like this
Yeah.
theory, though.
So-
Let's send the children into the coal mine first. If they come back out alive, we know it's safe.
They're clearly the most resilient, and there's definitely no downside to that. So yeah, sure. Let's just get them all in there. I used to be a teacher, and I am very glad that I am not a teacher anymore at this point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay Cooper says, question for TV. Does anybody call you T-Von anymore? Is that dead?
That is the only thing that Gathalion will call me.
Okay.
I tripped him up one time. One time I donated on his stream with my not Twitch account, right? It just said Ryan. And so he was like, "Oh, thank you, Ryan." And then he literally goes, "Oh," like he realized that I got him.
That's great.
Question for T-Von. What's your favorite troll loadout to run, or what is the most underrated gun you use?
Oh man. So those are two separate questions. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I have always adored Jotun. And I don't care if anyone sends me hate mail. I don't care the comments on YouTube. I literally uploaded a video on YouTube where I just trolled trials with Jotun on Cauldron. So I was like, Cauldron sucks. I'm using Jotun because that's fun. And I literally that was like one of the only videos I've ever like uploaded and never went back to. I've never seen the comments. I don't even care. Like it was just super fun. So I think Jotun looks super unique, sounds super unique, does something super unique. I think it's one of the coolest exotics in the history of Destiny, and I will die on that hill. So there's that. Underrated is a completely different question. I think a lot of people are sleeping on 2-burst sidearms. Most people are going for Drang right now. Or even Anonymous Autumn. But like Smuggler's Word, Breach Light with the right rolls, those things they'll mess you up. I ran a Devour double sidearm build on stream a couple days ago, and I had 6 Weerans.
6 Weerans?
With Breach Light and Autumn actually. Super
nice.
Can I stick some numbers in here real fast? Because this is what I like to do. So
he's like,
the aggressive burst sidearms are super underrated. And one of the things that's so awesome about them is that number one, they only take 3 crits and 2 body shots to get their optimal time to kill, which is 0.73 seconds, which obviously is pretty fast. You can also kill in just 6 body shots, right? So you can kill in 0.83 seconds without even hitting a crit at all, just by spamming body shots into someone. So 3 bursts from a 2-burst sidearm will, it's actually really, really awesome. So 2-burst sidearms are supremely underrated. I thought with Breachlight coming back, in the Prismatic Recaster, I thought more people were going to try to like catch on to it, but Drang is so totally ruling the sidearm game right now that I don't think anyone has eyes for anything different.
Everyone's so used to looking for the wrong things too, because they use for the longest time, accurized rounds has been like the thing, or if that thing can't roll with Zen Moment, I'm not using it. I got Breachlight with the accurized rounds, and they're using it. They're like, I can't control the recoil. It sucks. It's like, ooh, you're using the wrong roll, man. Accurized might be the way of life on every other archetype of sidearm, but it's not on the 2-burst.
Yeah, I maxed ability. And the same thing with the Omelon adaptives, the 3-burst ones. I maxed ability on those too. I mean, the differences in range, there's actually a guy named Monks who came out with a range calculator that you can basically see like the damage drop-off distance of your gun with whatever perks you put on it. And like the maximum damage fall-off for a 2-burst sidearm compared to the minimum damage fall-off is like 1.5 meter distance. It's like nothing at all.
Really?
Right? Like it really doesn't... Like you sticking all the range on there in the world, like maybe it matters more on mouse and keyboard where you don't have as many issues with stability, right? Yeah. But on like controller, you can stock all the range onto it you want. It's not really changing the effective engagement distance of that gun. Like you're way better off using stability.
Steady rounds.
Yeah.
I preach that all day.
I've just been using Fool's Remedy because it's silly.
It's fun.
Fool's Remedy is great.
It's really good.
One of the most unique sounding guns out there in the sandbox right now. Right, you know immediately when someone's using Fool's Remedy.
Yeah. Anytime you hear it, you just like pew, 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 pew,
pew. If we're on sidearms, Devil's Ruin also really deserves more love than it gets. I mean, it's basically Drang when you use it like an actual sidearm. It's an adaptive sidearm. But the thing that people sleep on is it's a primary ammo fusion rifle. It has a very long charge time, but it functions the way a fusion rifle does. It has a trace rifle animation, but it functions the way a fusion rifle does. It's primary ammo. So you never have to worry about being out of ammo on it at all. So
and you can shoot people like with the regular sidearm shots, get down to one shot, and then you can just fusion it.
Yeah, it's really good for kill chaining. My biggest beef with it though is the trigger release.
Yeah, how it fires on trigger release instead of trigger pull.
That just messes me up, man.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine the guy who was designing it like thought about this really cool idea and then realized that like it doesn't work if it fires like a normal gun because it fires one shot as soon as you pull the trigger. And he probably had to like brainstorm for a very long time about how to fix that. And then he was like, "Oh, we'll have it, fire on trigger release instead of trigger." Okay. Oh.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. There we go.
Hey.
Friendly awesome dude man says, Mercules, what's your favorite old school game from when you were growing up, and why is it Age of Empires 2?
Oh, that game's great.
It's actually not Age of Empires 2. I've never played Age of Empires, so I did not have a TV or anything like electronic like that until I was actually pretty old. So the only games that I played growing up, I played the original Halo when I was at my friend's house, and they had Xboxes. So like that was my first introduction to first-person shooters, and
That's a
completely
strong
changed my
introduction.
life. Yeah, and it was awesome. So obviously, I love Halo Combat Evolved more than anything. And then in terms of games that I played on like PC, I played Command and Conquer. It was probably like the first PC game that I got. I think it was like Command and Conquer Generals, like one of the not super well-known ones.
Yeah.
But I really liked that game too, and that was fun. And that kind of got me into the other side of my gaming thing, which like I did StarCraft for like a really, really long time. I wasn't, awesome at it, but I was in Diamond in the ladder in early Wings of Liberty, and like I really love strategy games like that. And then flight simulators, obviously. So like War Thunder right now is fun for me. And back in the day, it was Microsoft Combat Flight Simulator. I don't know if anyone knows that, but that was something I enjoyed back in the day. So kind of one from each of the genres I play.
Combat Flight Simulator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they killed that franchise a while back, unfortunately. There's a lot of really strong competition out there from some other companies, but I mean, it ran on basically their actual flight simulator engine. It was just warplanes instead of normal planes. So I love that. I'm an actual pilot in real life. So
cool.
yeah, like being able to fly, when the weather is good down here, and then because it's Florida and thunderstorms all the time, being able to fly on the computer is pretty nice.
That's awesome.
Private Panky says, with sunsetting, do you think if Bungie changed some existing weapon archetypes, i.e. increased rate of fire, and reintroduced them as new loot, would everyone consider that to be a significant enough change to improve the overall loot grind and PvPvE meta? That was a lot of words.
I'm like trying to wrap my head around that.
What was the example they gave? Changing a rate of fire of something?
So yeah, I think what he's saying is if you took away the loot, then changed like rate of fire stats for it and gave it back to us, would that be a significant enough change to improve the overall loot grind?
That's changing its archetype then, right?
Yeah,
like you're creating a different archetype of weapon.
Yeah, that's not like a small change. That's like a whole new thing.
That's a new weapon.
Just give it a different name and slap a different base shader on it. And, so, I mean, yeah, that would be a new gun. So I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. Jacob says, what's the perfect PvP meta for you? What weapons would you like to see buffed or nerfed? Supers 2. And there's not a comma like within a country mile of this. I think it's 3 sentences. I think it's 3 separate questions. What's the perfect PvP meta for you? What weapons would you like to see buffed or nerfed? And would you like special ammo economy to change back to the way D1 was?
What part of D1?
Yeah.
The final part. No, thank you.
That's the reason I have a hard time going back and playing D1.
Yeah.
D1's final meta
terrible
was
note.
Not good.
It was not good.
Real bad.
It was like they were trying to train us for what D2 was going to be like at launch. And it was the worst of both worlds. My favorite meta that Destiny has ever had in D1 or D2 was the Hopscotch Pilgrim Messenger meta, which was like a month basically before House of Wolves. I think that's my favorite meta that's ever been, because hand cannons were still really strong. Auto rifles hadn't been had their range just decimated yet. And pulse rifles were at the forefront. And I think pulse rifles, when they're not given just a ton of aim assist, I think pulse rifles are just a really fun, like decently skilled weapon where they don't.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, Halo battle rifle, obviously.
Yeah,
but,
BR.
When they're balanced well, they don't have ridiculous range like scout rifles do, like Mida. So there's still some risk to an engagement, and they're not tremendously easy to use up close. So they actually have like a really nice optimal engagement distance that they sit at. And I think it allows stuff to operate outside of them and underneath them. Whereas when we have a hand cannon meta, like everybody just goes hand cannon and like anything outside of hand cannons kind of just gets left out to dry.
Yeah.
And you could challenge snipers too. Like if you weren't a confident sniper and someone had a sniper on the other team, you could throw on the messenger, and you could, if you landed that first few shots, you win that. So it was a really nice balance. Yeah, it was a really nice balance of like, if you hit the shot, like a sniper can see you and hit you before you get off that burst. But if you get off the burst, you win. So it was I feel like it was a nice balance.
The thing I love about pulse rifles is that there's like the greatest potential for gun skill there. For me, I see you have to have a really strong sense of pacing. Shot pacing is really important with pulses, recoil control, and accuracy for optimal TTKs. So that's why I love pulse rifles. I just feel like everything comes in there. And I feel like you can see the most improvement in your game when you're using a pulse rifle as opposed to some other archetypes in the game right now, where it's really kind of hard to gauge how good you actually are.
What were the other parts of that question? There was like 2 more parts, right?
We're just gonna move on. The Omega 222 says, "Cool Guy has made comments on firing range that he may be in store. We may be in store for a massive haul of new weapons based on lack of weapons carrying on. What weapon types would you like to see helped out, and what's one new weapon type you'd like to see? First of all, who's this Cool Guy and what's his firing range? Second of all,
Never heard of him.
But seriously though, if anyone listening to this does not know who Cool Guy is, do yourself a favor, look up his YouTube content. In my opinion, is one of the absolute best Crucible content creators in the Destiny community right now. Do yourself a favor, get acquainted with his content.
He's also a really awesome dude, which
Has a great outlook
great.
on the game and life. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
So what weapons would you like to see helped out, and what's one new weapon type you'd like to see?
Helped out would be SMGs.
Oh yeah, SMGs. Yeah,
110s and 140 hand cannons. That's my list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
110s.
definitely scouts.
110s have been bad for a long time. I don't think they've been good since you could get was it ill will, or what was the future Warcold hand cannon that you could get that had final round and luck in the chamber, and you could get the mag size down to like 4, so you were pretty much guaranteed to 2-tap someone.
Really?
I forget what it was called, but yeah, like, and even then that was super gimmicky. Luck in the chamber is a perk that that was
controversial.
That was either incredibly loved or incredibly hated, depending on if it activated for you or against you, pretty much. But
true.
Yeah.
The fact that it was in the game made you think that it got activated against you constantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just one-shot me.
Yeah, dude.
If you listen to Reddit, Hawkmoon only ever one-shot people and never did anything else.
Yes, correct.
I literally can't remember any times that happened to me.
Fricado says, "What's the worst PvP meta you've ever experienced in Destiny 1 or Destiny 2?"
I mean, Destiny 1. So if we compare metas between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, is Destiny 1 final meta worse than anything we've had in Destiny 2? What do you guys think?
Sidearm sticky nade.
Sidearm sticky nade icebreaker?
Yeah, that was a pretty terrible.
Also, I know the more elite side of the PvP community loved it. I absolutely abhorred the Viking Funeral one-tap Thorn.
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah.
A firebolt and a thorn shot, and then they can just walk away like you could attack. I hated that.
I did.
That did that end in year 1? Did that?
That would have been early, right? Was that early year 2?
I think that was early year 2.
I think it was early year 2.
I think it was.
It lasted like 6 months.
The Reign of Thorn to me seems like it lasts for like a decade, but I know it was short. But it was everywhere.
I don't know if people remember like how fast those guns had the potential to kill in D1, right?
From
like
across the map too.
Yeah, we had 3 hand cannons that could all kill an optimal TTKs of less than half a second in D1. And like people, talk about like, oh, Luna's Howl's killing in 0.67 or whatever it is like that. It's like y'all don't even know. The 2-tap Thorn, the 2-tap the last word where it was hitting for 111. Or on headshots, it was some really, really crazy stuff back then. We had a very aggressive meta for a period of time. I didn't particularly enjoy that, but everything was more lethal back then, so it was kind of a different ball game. But
yeah,
it was after the Taken King. There was a point where it seemed like every time I got into the Crucible, every person in the Crucible was staring down the scope of a sniper rifle at every door in the map. And that to me was the worst time I've ever had. Worst time I've ever had playing Destiny Crucible, because it was sniper rifles everywhere, and everybody was hard scoping a doorway or a corner. It was like, it was so infuriating. It was so boring too, because everybody, like, it was just sniper rifles. Just
Was
sniper
that
rifles.
the final round sniper rifle meta, which was brief?
The final
but
round was part of it,
frustrating?
definitely.
Yeah, that was after shotguns had gotten nerfed a whole bunch, and people realized that snipers were pretty good. That was before snipers got their zoom nerfed too, because they got that bumped up.
Yeah,
So-
it ended in year 3. I think it was mostly year 2, I want to say, but I'm not.
Snipers
I'm not
used to all
positive.
have 40 or 4 times zoom, and then they bumped everything up to 4.5, and then in D2 everything was even higher than that, and then they gave us Revoker with 3.5 times zoom, and it's like, oh, so just the lowest zoom sniper you've ever had in Destiny that's not No Land Beyond. Okay, I see that. Which is why Revoker is so ridiculously omnipresent right now.
I lost my place. CMDR English guy Ash says, "What should I do with the weapons armor I have that are being sunsetted? I'd pawn it. You know, get some money
rid
for
of it
that
all.
before it's useless.
Right.
Collect those
Maybe
materials.
give it away to Goodwill.
Sell it on eBay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Get a little cash for it. Cash for gold.
I mean, so guys, I don't know if we understand what's happening with sunsetting, but your stuff is not getting deleted. You're going to be able to use it in like 90% of content still. So if there's something you really, really like, I just keep it and keep using it.
Yeah. Or cash for gold. Clifton Ampedsaw says, "What if the 7-win requirement for the Solstice gear was like one of those bounties that give more progression for wins, but still was progressed by losses? This way PvP gods would still feel powerful while giving lower skilled players a goal that feels attainable." I like this. This seems like a good idea. Like it gets everybody where they need to go, and it keeps, like, I like things that keep playlists filled with people, and this would seem to do that. Like, you get in there, and even if you lose, you're making some progress. That sounds good to me.
I mean, they've done it in the past. This is going way back, but back in D1, the original Trials bounties that they had that were, you know, like you could get gold tier rewards from one bounty per week, and that bounty, you know, gave you points for wins and kills and things like that. So good players got it done faster, but anybody could do it if they just played enough. And I feel like we've moved away from that in a lot of things. And it's not great, because if players, you know, you should always feel like you're making progress on something. And good players should make progress faster, because that's the reward that comes with being a good player. But bad players shouldn't go into trials and lose 3 games in a row and literally feel like they've wasted all of their time.
Right.
They should get something for doing it, because otherwise, what is the point of going into the playlist, right? And right now, trials suffers from that a lot, where a lot of people are like, what is even the point of going into the playlist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
123 says, "Am I considered a filthy casual if I've slowly become okay with not having every weapon/armor set? Haven't completed a single raid or dungeon, but still sink countless hours of D2 across multiple platforms."
No, I think you just described me.
Yeah.
Because I basically just kind of go play Crucible, and then I might go do some PvE. Then I start getting sleepy. Then I have to go back to the Crucible again. So, I mean, I don't engage with all areas of the game at all. Not even close. That's why I enjoy Solstice so much, because I'm like, oh, cool. Gonna go do this thing I haven't done for a year.
That's one of the things that's great about Destiny. Honestly, it hits such a broad audience and a wide variety of game styles. And like myself, I've got people who come in and chat, and they're like, "TVL, how's your Solstice armor grind?" I'm like, "It's blue." Like, and they're like, "Wow, do you not like Destiny?" It's like, no, I love Destiny. I'm just busy doing this other thing that I really enjoy. Like, I'm playing Crucible, I'm doing inventive builds, and I could take my time and go over here and do the Solstice armor stuff. And I think that armor looks so cool. And I think they knocked that armor out of the park. But for me, and the way that I enjoy playing the game, it's just a different avenue for me. And I think that's A-okay. You're not a filthy casual. You just know what you like, and that's okay.
I find that if I try and grind stuff that I don't like if there's like a strike grind, I don't like running strikes like for hours on end. It's just really boring to me, because it's almost like a memorization thing. I'm hardly paying attention to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
True.
And if I force myself to do that for long periods of time, then I enjoy all of Destiny less, right? It's like I just want to break from Destiny because I force myself to play a certain part of Destiny, that isn't my favorite part. And I think that's fine. I think, Destiny is a game that you can take breaks from, you can come back to, you can play certain parts of, you can play with just your friends, you can do anything you want. Like, it's such a, there's so many different parts to Destiny. There's so many different ways to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And you can be casual without being filthy. Like, you can be a clean casual. Like, that's allowed.
I mean, Destiny, it's one
Not
of those
everybody can make
games
it a
where,
career.
it's a game that has everything in it. You're gonna have people that love all parts. You're gonna have people who only play PvE, only raid, only do dungeons, only do Crucible. Like, there's probably not a ton of people that interact with every single part of the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a big ass game. A lot of stuff to do.
Owen Nilsson says, I came back to Destiny after quitting for a while when Warmind came out, and I'm loving the game so far. Question is, did I miss any meta god rolled weapons for the Crucible? What are you guys running for trials nowadays? So did we miss anything between now and Warmind that really we should go and find quick?
Get your
Spare
bastion.
rations?
Yeah, gnawing hunger.
So for trials, it's not going to matter next season. Pardon me.
That's true, right?
Bastion.
Anything that's been sunset,
Bastion is good.
Yeah, get your bastion. Bastion is a really
thorn?
strong.
Thorns,
Thorn is gonna,
Probably last word was after that, right? All of the. When was the last word? I don't remember. I don't remember when that was.
Yeah, I mean, you can pretty much survive with just a gnawing hunger and Revoker. If you can get either of those two, you're pretty much golden. You don't need anything else.
You think gnawing hunger is going to survive? I don't mean sunsetting. I mean, is it gonna?
Yeah, the change. I mean, they've already said they're going to change adaptive ARs. I mean, if they don't overdo it, right? It should. Their stated goal is they just wanted to let other ARs shine a little bit. So I would imagine they wouldn't completely revert it to the way it was before this buff. I would hope that they're just going to shave a little off the top. So, I mean, I think it'll survive. It's just right now, it's just super, super strong. So, but hey, you got till November. So
that's right.
Enjoy it while you can.
Doughboy says, if they bring back the Icebreaker, should it have the original perk they intended it to have, where firing the last shot had a chance to explode upon firing and kill you? Yes, that would be hilarious. Absolutely.
So, is it like the last shot's like a supercharge? Oh, you mean where the gun itself explodes and kills you?
Yeah, yeah. Like
Icebreaker's a tough weapon, man, because it enabled people to sit in the back of the map and not engage with any of the content at all, which then makes it much harder to create interesting PvE experiences. So I don't know how they could bring it back and make it work unless they have to then put big dangerous mans that come up behind you and slap you and kill you whenever you're hiding.
I don't think
somewhere.
They should bring it back. I mean, it broke
think
so many encounters.
Well, they could give it the Whisper treatment where it has weapons or it has rounds in reserve, and every couple of seconds it loads a round from reserve, right? It doesn't just generate it out of thin air, right? Because if they did that, I mean, I don't think Whisper's breaking stuff right now. The thing is that Icebreaker gave you unlimited ammo, and even if you had no ammo, it still gave you unlimited ammo, which was pretty clearly a problem. Even in D1, it was
it was a huge problem. I mean,
and D1 was more generous with special ammo than what we have right now.
It broke the Crucible, it broke raids, it broke strikes, like anything it touched. I mean,
Oracle encounter, VOG, remember that?
Yeah.
Like, I ain't even going down there.
Truly an exotic.
Yeah. I mean, if they bring it back, it can't just have unlimited ammo. I'm sure they'll bring it back eventually. They're bringing everything back. Chris Meyer says, question for everyone. Would you prefer Bungie to bring back Crota's End as a dungeon, as a side thing for King's Fall if it comes back? Or should it be considered a raid with some changes to make it feel like a raid?
Honestly, I feel like Crota feels like a raid, man.
I agree. Crota was awesome, man.
The encounters in Crota are so cool. Like the Thrall Lantern encounter is really awesome, feels really epic, and then you're standing in the middle and you got things attacking you. Like it's a good experience. I mean, maybe they could add something to it for more people to feel like it's a raid, but
I think it's okay
I
for
really
a
like
raid
Crota.
to be a little bit more approachable. Because I here's the thing: when that raid came out, I was not a content creator. I was working full time. I was a brand new father. Like life was crazy, and that's the one raid that I joined the DoD clan and got in a raid group, and we'd sit down, we'd shoot the breeze for an hour, and we'd play through Crota. And we loved it. We absolutely loved it. I think that's okay. A raid doesn't have to take you an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete.
It was a raid layer before we had raid layers. I mean, it was really what it was, like a short, easily completed, kind of just a major boss fight and some puzzle mechanics before it. But what I would like to see, and the reason I'm going to differ here, I think that it should come back in as a dungeon. Reason being is because I think dungeons are super, super accessible because they are designed to be soloable, right? So you give players who would never step foot in a raid, even though it's very, very difficult to solo, incredibly difficult to solo a dungeon. You give players who would otherwise never set foot in a raid, you give them something to do, right? If they overlevel it, if they work really hard, I mean, the whole thing is designed to where you can do it with 3 people and it's easier, but you could do it just one person by yourself. And I think that's cool because I see a lot of people on my timeline on Twitter who I know for a fact aren't really hardcore raiders at all. Don't really play with many people. They pretty much play with themselves, trying day in and day out to solo Prophecy and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I like that it gives them something to do. And I think if you could modify Crota to where it, not with cheese, but to where it legitimately could be done solo and it's fun, then I think they could do that because it's just, you could still run it with a fire team if you want. But for the people who, raids are not necessarily by design, but they are a kind of an exclusionary activity, right? Where a large portion of the population doesn't necessarily get to play them, and they're built to be aspirational. And I think something like Vault of Glass, King's Fall, Last Wish, like those are great aspirational activities because of how big and how epic they are. I think Crota Zen would do well as a dungeon.
Should they bring back the original version or the one that they remade in year 3?
Do we get the remade armor too? Because
the remade armor
awesome.
was dope. That might
It
be
was
my
awesome.
favorite.
That was
armor
my
of all
favorite.
Time.
It was really good.
Also, I kind of think that bringing it back as a dungeon would kind of bust the whole idea that we are altering the events of the Destiny universe as players. So, Lord, the story remembers Crota's end as a 6-man activity. A fire team of 6 brave guardians went in there and they took down Crota. When you start messing with stuff like that, I think you kind of mess with the lore and the sort of the, I don't know, immersive aspect of it. You know what I mean? Feels like it kind of breaks the world.
You make Eris look even worse because her fire team got spanked. Right. And we're gonna go in there and solo it. It's like, come on, Eris, you really couldn't do this.
X-Man says, in one of the most recent updates for Call of Duty, they finally added the weapon inspect feature. So I guess my question is, how would you guys like to see a weapon inspect feature for our guns? After all, Destiny has some pretty cool looking guns.
Is weapon inspect where you can just view the 3D model of the weapon and turn it over and
Spin
look
it
at it
around
and
and everything?
That makes sense. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't play COD, so I don't actually know what that feature is.
Yeah, it's where it's the same thing in Apex where you put the gun up and you turn it around and look at it.
Oh.
I mean,
content creators must love that.
Sure.
Right, for thumbnails.
I never used the feature in Apex, basically ever. I don't know if I would really use it. Maybe I think the only time I'd use it is if I got a new ornament or something or a new weapon, and then I look at it and I'm like, oh, cool, and then I probably wouldn't do it again. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably a feature we don't really need.
Yeah, if my choice was between Bungie developing this feature and Bungie developing another feature, I'd really want to know what that other feature was because I'm almost ready to blind choose it. Stoic Silver says, should Dragon Mida multi-tool be excluded, or Mida mini-tool, be excluded from sunsetting this upcoming expansion?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
Starving Dragon is one of the coolest combinations in Z2. I still run it.
They've done to have weapons that work with each other. I would love to see them do more of that. And I feel like if you're you can't, especially Sturm, right? Sturm and Drang, they go together. That it's part of their perks. That's what they do. So you can't just not. Yeah, you
You
gotta find.
can't. Killing Drang kills the best 110 in the game, and 110s are pretty bad.
That's true.
Private Panky says, with sun setting, do you think if Bungie changed some existing weapon archetypes? Oh, I think I read this one already, didn't I? Yeah, I did.
Something
I must have put it in here twice.
Yeah. Your question was so good. That's what that means. So
Yeah.
Lasagna Series X $500 says, if you had to sunset 3 exotic weapons, what would they be?
Exotic weapons?
Yeah.
Ooh. Does anyone use exotic weapons?
That's the thing.
It's actually a really hard question. I can sunset 3 weapons. Yeah.
What's the name of that stupid grenade launcher with the spider mines?
Colony.
Oh, Colony?
Yeah, Colony. But I don't see it anymore. But for a while, it was really on my shit list.
I'd sunset Warcliffe.
Yeah, Warcliffe.
Yeah. And then, I mean, geez, nobody uses exotics really, like, at all. It would have been Hardlight a little while ago, but they got on that pretty quick.
They took care of business.
I don't know. Mida, the sound annoys me in the Crucible. There's nothing that.
Yeah, I don't know. I really, there's no exotic currently in the sandbox that I play against, and I'm like, oh my god. There's just doesn't exist.
Chaperone is my bane, kind of, but that's because I love using sidearms, and it's a hard counter to sidearms.
That's true. Yeah, normally shotguns, you're like hee 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 with a shotgun when someone runs at you with a shotgun, but not Chaperone. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything, to be honest. There's nothing that annoys me. I know people are really upset about Bastion. Bastion doesn't annoy me at all.
Love
Bastion's my favorite gun. So.
So cool, dude.
Now we definitely are not looking at the YouTube comments.
Like, oh no, I don't care. I tell people my favorite guns, and TV talked about this earlier, but Jotun and Bastion are like my 2 favorite weapons to use in the Crucible, and I just love. I just love them. I think they're fantastic, and Bastion. I was a Bastion hipster. I was using Bastion back before it was cool. All right, I've got receipts for that, but I talked about it so much. I talked about how good it was. I said that, when Aaron Till gets nerfed, people are going to find this next, and they're going to realize you can shred roaming supers. It's one of the only guns in the game you can shred roaming supers with. And, it's legitimately really, really, really good. And sure enough, Aaron Till got nerfed, and here we are. And now people are complaining about it all of a sudden. It's like,
do you remember when Bastion came out and people are like, this is
trash. Yeah.
Crazy quest thing sucks. I'm mad.
I know. Dude, people have no creativity.
It was always good. It's great. If you face a bunch of Titans spamming walls, you destroy them, and then you kill them right behind it. It takes care of supers. It's really good against shotguns. So anytime you're on a trials map that had a bunch of shotguns, it was amazing. So it always was good.
Yeah.
Chris Child says, it seems like YouTubers are really happy with the move to connection-based matchmaking. For an average PvP player, it's ruined it. Either get stomped or stomp the other team. There is no balance. Iron Banner was one of my favorite PvP. Last Iron Banner was the worst PvP I've ever played. Thoughts?
I mean, counterpoint, I'm not a YouTuber and I love it. I hated Iron Banner up until the last 2 Iron Banners. And now I spend the entire week playing Iron Banner, right? So I know that the skill-based matchmaking versus connection-based matchmaking is a thing. And I'm of the camp that there is a happy medium that has a little bit of both in there. I don't think that top 1% players should be playing against people who just picked up the game for the first time, right? Like that does a disservice to all players, right? But at the same time, PvP was really, really rough for better than average players for a substantial period of time. It wasn't impossible to win, but it was legitimately significantly less fun when we were matching against people above a certain caliber every single game. Destiny is a game where as you improve and everyone else improves around you, the highest level skill bracket isn't really tremendously fun to play in. And that might be a little bit blasphemous, but it just gets more and more cheesy and kind of, I'm going to use a pun here, grating to play as you move up. The best Destiny, in my experience, is the melting pot Destiny, where it's everything thrown in together, not just a super hyper focused version of Destiny. And, I know it sucks for you guys, but when the population drops, you don't really have a choice. You cannot keep strict skill-based matchmaking as the population decreases. And this is the time of the year with the lowest population. So
I think we probably have similar thoughts in that I like an overall connection-based matchmaking, but I think that if we could just protect, people brand new to the game, brand new to PvP, they've never played before from, all of us, even someone who's not that great, who's been playing for years, is going to dominate those players, Mr. Briar Rabbit. But yeah, I think that's my ideal world, is we protect the very bottom, the brand new players from everyone. Let them play and relax for a bit and get a hang of the game, learn the maps, learn how the radar works and all of that stuff before throwing them in the deep end.
I agree.
I'm not the top 1%. I'm far from it. But even I, with connection-based matchmaking, the goal was that they wanted you to win 50% of your matches. That was the goal. And to me, it felt like I was always playing people right at my skill level. I was always, if anytime I was at the Crucible, I had to fight like hell to get a win. Like, it never felt like I could just relax. And I also never knew how good I was, because you never felt yourself getting better, because you're always just fighting people exactly your skill level. Like, unless you were at the extremes. And like, I much prefer connection-based skill matchmaking, because, like, first of all, like, it's less frustrating to, like, shoot somebody in the head 30 times and they just keep walking. Like, that's awful when it's skill-based matchmaking and you got a bad connection. But it's just nice to, like, kind of gauge your skill over time by, like, actually having a more representative field. Like, as my score goes up, then I'm doing better, and that doesn't happen with skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah. I think it's silly to think that it has to be one or the other, like extreme skill-based matchmaking or none at all. It has to be connection-based. I think we've got more options, and I would love to see Bungie explore some ways of having outlier protection built in. This is something Cool Guy talks about a lot on his channel. I talk about it as well. Some of the other guys on the on Mercules, your podcast, have chatted about this as well. I think we just need to find some other solutions.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be upset if skill-based matchmaking came back and we just had like a ranking system that just a real ranking system, not Glory, because Glory is not a real ranking system, but like just like, tiers, like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, like just even tiers, right? So I wouldn't love that, but I would be more accepting of skill-based matchmaking if it was like, okay, my games kind of suck right now, but it's because I'm in diamond tier. So at least I have something to show for it. But right now it's like my games suck, and the guy who's playing bronze players has the same KD as me in a game, but his experience is way different than what my experience was in the game. But stats at the end of the game showed the exact same thing, right? And I didn't find that to be tremendously fair for me. But
Jeremy Collins of Podcast We Listen To Trademark says, if you could create one emote or ornament, what would it be?
Emote or ornament?
Yeah.
So I've always said I want hunters to have a cape that looks like interesting things, like butterfly wings, right?
Ooh,
That's
there
a
you go.
completely different design, but it's still a sort of cape. It's on your back. It's a cape, right? It's on your back.
Yeah.
So I would like to see more interesting stuff like that, where it takes the idea of what a class item is, but then kind of make it something a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You're like, I want to be a butterfly.
Yeah, I want to be a butterfly. I would like a emote where I bend over, I pull down my drawers,
God.
spread my cheeks wide with my hands, and just
you open a
blow an air biscuit right at my opponent. Whatever I'm pointing at, big neon air biscuit just goes flying out.
You need Jesus, man.
I don't think he wants me.
I don't think you know how Jesus works.
Might not be a T for teen rated game anymore. We start doing events like
Come
that.
on.
Yeah,
everybody loves a good fart joke.
I had two emotes I actually suggested, and both of them got made. So I kind of already got mine. But one was the finger wag from D1. from
that's pretty good.
Yeah, from the basketball player, and the other one is the Riker sit, where he like sits weirdly over the back of the chair. And those were like really small and like not intricate at all, but I just thought they were so like neat. And I suggested, because when I was out of Bungie for a while, and knew the guys who were making the emotes and everything, and I was like, hey, hint, like Riker sit. And then it got into the game a little bit later. It's a little bit modified, so it's probably not the trademark Riker sit, but yeah. So I use that every time I kill someone in an embarrassing way. Let me just Riker sit right on top of you.
Mr. Macalito says, during these Gambit and other grinds for full armor sets, what would you say is the best cookie and cake, or combination of both, to balance the salty grind? Always a treat and good vibes watching the show. Best cookie and or cake.
Something to get rid of the salt.
Have you guys seen this? I just recently discovered this. My wife bought them, and the kids have been eating them. Microwave cake cups. Have you guys seen this?
What? Microwave cake cups? Nope.
So it's like a little packet that you...
Wait, cake or cake cups?
Cake. C-A-K-E. You mix the cake mix in with a little bit of water into a mug, like a coffee mug, and you put it in the microwave for literally 1 minute, and out you get is cake, and it tastes like cake. Like
here's my problem.
It doesn't taste like
when I eat
weird cake.
This much cake, like it's not. I don't do cake cups.
Yeah, this is a mug full of cake.
Like,
well, you can make like 6 of them if you want, but
that sounds expensive.
Well, we get them at Aldi, so it can't be that expensive. But yeah, that's pretty good.
Oreos?
Oreos are delicious.
Something super sweet, right? To go with the salty, something super sweet.
Yeah.
Maybe like a creme brulee. It's not a cake, but I like creme brulee. Give me an excuse to bring up creme brulee.
Also, you get to play with fire.
That's true. So you can play with fire while you're super angry and salty, while you make your sweet, delicious treat. It sounds great.
Tiramisu.
Not dangerous.
That's kind of like creme brulee, but yeah, and it's a cake-ish.
That's true. I do love tiramisu.
Cake-ish.
It's totally a cake.
This week in video games says, we've seen some good mods this season, like Surprise Attack, Lucid Blade, and to a lesser extent, Argent Ordnance. Which weapon would you like to see improved with Charged with Light mods and Beyond Light, and how would you iterate on the Charged with Light concept?
That's a big question. The charged with what would you do for the charged with light?
Something I need to mull over for about a week and then make a YouTube video about.
Right.
Well, I would like the charged with light mods that are new to work with high energy fire. That would be nice, because right now they don't. So like the ones that are like double kills with certain types of weapons, for some reason they don't work with high energy fire, so you can't really use them in PvP. So you're pretty much stuck using taking charge or charge harvester in PvP. But honestly, like, I don't want the charge with light system to become easier to use in PvP, because it's a double stacker rampage for picking up an orb. And I think that's hefty, right now. But if it gets easier to use, then you're going to run into issues where it starts breaking trials and stuff like that. And then it's going to get nerfed. So like, I don't want to see it get nerfed, because I like using it right now. And I think it's really, really finely balanced on like incredibly powerful, but pretty difficult to build into if you're not really trying to build into it. So I would just fix the perks or fix the mods so that they actually work, and then I probably wouldn't do anything else.
There you go.
I am Stylized says Merc and TV epic win. Looking forward to this episode. What's going to win in a match against these two? TV's super nice guy sidearm, or Merc's perfectly coned auto rifle?
Well, I need to know what the special is.
Good point.
Bastion.
I don't use specials. Specials are for noobs and losers. I don't touch those things.
Yeah, my thing's a Bastion and a Galliard 42 with like a higher zoom scope and kill clip, and that's the loadout I'm rocking right now. I'm sad because Galliard 42 is going bye-bye at the end of the season. There's no way I'm getting that, but we got about 17 gnawing hungers with kill clip or some variation of that stuck in my vault. So yeah, just in case. I like adaptive ARs, man. I had a For the People back in the Dark Below. That was like my go-to in a lot of D1 year one. So I really like the 600 RPM autos.
I liked them until I don't know. I don't like anything that feels like it's holding my hand. And right now, I feel like it's holding my hand. And I don't know if that's a controversial thing to say or not. I don't know.
I'll hold you.
I mean, so if we look at all the weapons that get super popular in very competitive places, it tends to be the ones that have very high aim assist, very high range. Like they tend to be the easiest to use weapons, let's be honest. So I don't think that's controversial.
Auto rifles also have the drawback of forcing you to maintain line of sight, right? Which is why even at like really high levels, you still see a lot of hand cannon usage. Because hand cannons can dip, dodge, duck, dive, and dodge or whatever, and get in and out of cover. And auto rifles, it's not as easy to do that since you have to maintain line of sight. And auto rifles, for the most part, you have to stay planted on the ground. Hand cannons, you don't really have to do that as much. So auto rifles are the easier to use weapons, and I think we're all in agreement that that adaptives do too much damage for how easy they are to use. But auto rifles come with their own host of drawbacks, to where it's not necessarily a free win button, or it wouldn't be if they were better balanced on their damage output.
Right. No, and I agree. I'm just talking specifically about this season. Previously, and to be fair, I am an auto rifle fan when it comes to other archetypes, not just 600s. And I suppose that's where I'm a little bit bummed out. The other ones literally have like no purpose right now. You really are handicapping yourself if you're using an auto rifle that isn't a 600 RPM right now.
And then imagine you're using an SMG, which has the exact same rate of fire as an auto rifle, but
so
does less damage per
SMGs,
shot.
man.
Yeah, less damage per shot and has less range. So it's like,
I haven't used an SMG like consistently since year one.
If SMGs get buffed, the 7th Seraph SMG will be really freaking good.
The 7th Seraph is like you can already use it now, and you just feel that it feels different to the other SMGs. Like it just feels a little bit better.
I really like it.
Yeah, it feels good.
and cool guys talked about, but Teraba is actually really, really good. If you are,
I need it.
yeah,
I know I'm
if
gonna
you
love
can,
it.
You don't have Teraba? Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah.
I have a feeling. I'm gonna love it.
the perk is hard-ish to like use, kind of, just because of the stow mechanics and things like that. But if you get the perk activated, it is probably the strongest primary in the sandbox, and I don't think there's anything that's even really close. So
I'm a shadow and I don't have it. It's very disappointing.
Wait, what? Girl.
You're like, yeah, I'm gonna farm. It's one of the things on my list to farm for before it goes away. I need it. And I really like Crown of Sorrow, actually. I really enjoy that area.
When
I
I
don't
made
think
that
it's
comment
terrible.
about
I like the
SMGs, I
final
forgot about the
encounter.
Recluse. I definitely used
that
the
doesn't.
Recluse.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
Inverted DJ says, what piece of gear or tech makes your job as a streamer 100% easier? Also, you guys are the bee's knees.
Coffee.
Okay. A real nice comfort chair. I like those.
I just got an uplift. I'm not sponsored by them. This is not an ad. I just got an uplift convertible sit to stand desk. It is so nice. So nice. Because I literally sit in a chair for sometimes 10 to 12 hours a day. The stream for 8, kids go down. I then come back down to the office and do some gaming with my wife, or I do some editing for YouTube. It's like, man, I'm sitting a lot. So having this has just been a game changer for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a streamer, so I don't have any of that cool tech or anything like that. So
yeah, I can't really think of one thing that was like a total turnaround. Maybe
maybe the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck made
cool, but it's basically short keyboard shortcuts.
It is, yeah, it is. You're right. Vertical monitor.
Microphone,
that's been good.
That's not
there
bad.
You go.
Getting a microphone
full chat.
is nice, like because people do not want to listen to a shitty microphone. It sucks. Everybody knows
does suck.
It's like
it gives me a headache, and I'm like, I really want to watch you, but
I know. But like the microphone came with like a mixing board and like that. It's no one piece of tech that. But I would like if I were to say to a new person like, what should I start with? What should be my first purchase? I would always say like get a microphone.
Good mic, yeah.
Yeah, good mic.
And not even like an expensive mic, just one that doesn't sound like a headset.
But
yes.
Cardboard Crack says, how has the podcasting platform changed you personally? Have you seen a lot of personal growth in lateral aspects of your life, such as interpersonal interactions between strangers or critical thinking on the fly?
I think I talk to less strangers because I have friends now. I
There
don't
you
need to
go.
talk to them. I have more friends. No need for
I think
strangers.
that's the nicest thing you've ever said.
I think the biggest difference is that everyone on DCP is filthy rich now.
Yeah, I mean,
Even
I
me,
like
just
That's
with
why we
one
have
guest slot.
Ferrari Fridays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ferrari Fridays
Right.
are definitely like a game changer. They have really improved my Friday. The whole weekend just gets off on the right note.
Let me ask you this: when's the last time you saw Briar drink cheap booze?
I'm drinking Hopping Nomad IPA from Aldi right now.
Now sounds pretty
I just killed this. I just killed this while we were recording.
Oh, Whistle Pig, nice.
I'm a Whistle Pig fan, dude. I love
Oh.
Whistle Pig.
Some of the Boss Hog.
That's where it's at, man.
Yeah, I don't know if a
I think
podcast has
I think
changed
really
me personally.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like, when you come into content creation, you see a lot of people kind of make groups, right? There's like groups that play together, groups that
Yeah.
it's DCP and finding a podcast was kind of like us just naturally and organically having our own group where it's good for growing as a content creator because you're sharing audiences and all that stuff, but it's like new game comes out that's 4 players, we have people to go and play that right away, we don't even need to think about it. So it's been like a very easy and organic way to have this like content group. So I haven't been involved in any drama because surprisingly Briar's pretty drama free. I know you wouldn't think so.
It's tough to look out for.
Tefty
We
uses
might.
Mountaintop, so we need to
When
keep
he
an eye on
comes
that guy.
back, he might have some words.
That's
You might
true.
have a few things to say,
He might not come back.
and I'm out.
I think that's been the thing. It's just been like your own little clique within the Destiny community, which has been really nice.
It's so much fun to be part of TCP that like people who have left keep coming back, right? It's like, Holtz comes back. Like he doesn't have any interest in content creation. He's on to doing better things. But he comes back, he's still in our Twitter group, and he's still like, throwing his opinions around in there. It's fun. We got real lucky because we didn't even choose the group. It got chosen by, Planet Destiny.
That's right.
Yeah. I was the only chosen one.
We're
We're the chosen one. Elusive Pineapple says, what's more valuable, creativity or logic?
Can't say one's more valuable than the other.
I think one is almost
they-
useless without the other.
Yeah, they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. So a good combination of both is probably for the best.
There you go. We choose both for
Mm.
cheating. Yep.
Awesomeness says, in the same way a group of sheep is a herd, what should we call a group of hunters, titans, warlocks, or whatever? Hunters, warlocks, or titans?
Floofers.
Floofers, yeah.
The
I've
floofs.
started calling the the people who just started playing Warlock because Top Tree got really strong.
A murder of floofs?
I started calling them toppers.
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 They're just toppers. Because anytime I'd be like, I hate this, and they're like, well, I play Stormcaller. I'm like, okay, toppers.
I think warlocks would be a flock. Hunters would be a pack.
Titans would be a failure.
You're so mean. Titans are hammer go bonk.
Listen,
Titans
having
got
one
lost on
Titan
the
in
way to the
group-
naming ceremony.
Having one Titan in the group, great. Having nothing but Titans, I don't think you're going anywhere. I think you're stuck.
Farashi says, do I listen to too much DCP because every time I see a gluten-free restaurant, see retro game consoles, or see streamers who have cats, I think it's Hefty, Briar, and Watts. That's very nice of you, Farashi. Thank you
That
very
is
much.
very nice. Thank you. And also, yes, and thank you.
Insane8511 says, this question is for everyone. What has been your biggest lifestyle change, good or bad, that you've made so far due to being a content creator? Also, no, I'm not reading the last part. Just, that's fine.
Something about eating Briar?
Yeah.
Yes. I have taken up eating Briar, which is a very nutritional snack. Keeps me nice and healthy. That's been new and exciting. He keeps regrowing. It's really weird, but I'm thankful.
I would say being on camera all the time has made me care a little bit more about staying fit, staying active, taking care of the way that I look. And that also leads to some self-confidence as well. And also my wife doesn't think I'm ugly, so that's cool too.
It's a win-win.
At least if she does, she hasn't told me.
I'm not really I'm not really a content creator as much as it goes, so I have way less free time.
I hate to tell you this, but you are on 2 podcasts.
Yeah, I suppose that is true. I always feel like it's people who are in front of a camera. Yeah, I always feel like it's people who are in front of a camera, the content creators. But yeah, I mean, I just have a lot less free time than I ever had before. Work picks up, and when work picks up, I can't neglect Destiny, so I have to continue to play Destiny. So it goes from being I work for 8 hours and play Destiny for 8 hours and talk about Destiny for 8 hours and not forgotten to sleep. So
I don't know.
I just had to fight. I have to fight against the content creator life, man. Because you wake up, you work from home, so the most you're walking is down the stairs. The very most, if you even have stairs. If you don't have stairs, you're just walking like a couple feet to your office, and then you're sitting all day. You're not moving. You work an insane amount of hours, so you have to fight against that. You got to try and make sure that you keep fit and healthy, even though you are creating content.
I am constantly battling my sleep schedule now because when my kids were in school, I always had to wake up in the morning to see them off, which kept my
that's right.
schedule right. But now that they're not going to school, there's no every day in the morning thing that I absolutely have to get up for. So it's like it's easy to like on Friday after the podcast sleep a little late, and then because I slept late, I end up like staying up late that night, and then that can kind of snowball.
Yeah.
So I have found that I think I've fixed it now. Now I just set my alarm for 7 a.m. just because I want to set my alarm for 7 a.m. just so I'm not doing this thing where I'm up till 4 a.m. and then sleep till noon, because that sucks. I hate that.
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing when you don't have something to wake up for at a certain time, because it's easy to fuck up your sleep.
It's easy to just be like, I could just sleep for another hour.
See, I can't do that. I have to stay consistent with my sleep schedule because I am prone to migraines, like bad migraines. And the number one contributor is a change in sleep schedule. So if I don't maintain that consistency, then I can't stream. I can't look at a screen and edit a video. Like, it literally kills my whole workday. My kids are like, play with me, daddy. And I'm like, the light hurts me, son.
Yeah. Migraines are actually the worst. I've made it like coffee in the morning, right? So like I get up in the morning to go get a coffee, which is not needed at all, but it's like a ritual that I gave myself so that now that I'm not going to an office every day and I work from home, like I feel the same way. I used to have to get up at 6:30 in the morning to go to the office. Now I work from home, I wake up at 6:30 to check my phone for emails, but if I don't have any, I can kind of just stay in bed. So I've made it to where at 8:30, I meet one of my coworkers for coffee somewhere. And because I have that ritual every morning, I'm spending a shit ton of money on coffee, which isn't great, but it gets me up and it gets me doing something, and it gives me like the thing that I need to start my day and then move on from there. So
there you go.
I think having stuff like that gets you out of the house too is important right now. Like as long as you're doing it in a safe way and you're approaching it in a way that's not going to hurt other people or yourself or your family or anything. It's important to have social connections, especially kind of like outside of the house, because it's a weird time, it's like you don't want to get depressed. Make sure you're calling your friends and your family too. Like, hey, how you doing? Because it's easy to just like sit in this kind of world right now by yourself and like have just all this bad news assaulting you and just kind of fall into a depression. So it's really helpful to have somebody reach out to you. And if you're feeling okay, definitely good to reach out to other people. That's
right. That's really important. Especially for a lot of us, most of the conversations we're having these days are with tiny humans. Most of my conversations are about Minecraft and unicorns.
Your Modern Messiah says, as a Warlock main from New Jersey, I forgive you peeps, but if you could only have one drink and one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? Thank you for your forgiveness.
Ooh.
One drink and one meal.
One drink and one meal.
Is that in addition to water? Let's say yes.
Yeah, yes, it has to be. Otherwise, yeah. I really like mojitos, but it is summer, so that might be before summer.
That's a very hard question to ask. I'd be a very unhappy person if I could only have one food. It doesn't matter if it's my favorite food or my favorite drink. If that's all I'm having,
it's not going to stay your
life.
favorite food, right?
Nah, I'd be a very unhappy person if that were the case. Because I love food and I love drink. So I don't know if I can narrow it down to just one. Probably Yingling for a beer, just because I think it's something that wouldn't ever get old. I think if I were to drink anything else to, daily forever, it would at some point I'd get sick of it. But Yingling's just a good, easy drinking beer. And maybe tacos. I do love tacos.
They're versatile as well.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of types of tacos.
Like a canvas. You can make it anything. You can make that Tex-Mex.
Maybe I cheated a little bit there. Yeah.
And they're easily attainable. You can get the authentic Mexican food at any Taco Bell near you.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
The drink is whiskey, though. If water's a given.
Yeah, water's better be a given.
Yeah.
If whiskey is the choice, water better be a given.
There's water and whiskey. It'll be fine.
Gonzo MB says, "What is love?"
Baby, don't hurt me.
That's what he said. Wow.
Yeah. Don't hurt me. No,
Smarty for you says, "My question is for the only person I can trust to be who they say they are. What? Does it make you nervous being on a show with a bunch of people who may or may not be who they say they are? Should each of them tell us something unique about themselves to verify who they are?" What in the fuck is this question?
So, I think if I just eat a little bit of all of them, we could probably figure out if it's really them.
This took a dark turn.
I'm out.
I'm only a guest. I don't need to be included in this.
Sparty, we gotta have some words, man. Like
Sparty,
you are. Are you on like our conspiracy?
Taste like beer. If I eat Briar and he doesn't taste like beer, something's wrong. Something's bad. If I eat Tefty and there's some gluten going on, we know that's incorrect. This is really easy, actually.
Oh man, this is a scary question, and an even scarier answer. Manly Quesadilla says, "Yesterday I created a Pop-Tart sandwich. What are some other unconventional replacements for bread?"
Unconventional replacements for
Can
bread.
we comment on the Pop-Tart sandwich real quick?
I mean, yeah.
Let's not just flow by the Pop-Tart for bread sandwich, because that sounds disturbing.
You got to be resourceful sometimes,
I want to know what the meat on that was.
I hope there wasn't any. I hope it was like jam or something in between it. Because if there was meat in between Pop-Tarts,
it depends on the Pop-Tart flavor.
Do they have
what Pop-Tart flavor would be okay with meat?
Wait,
Shepherd's pie, Pop-Tart. Yeah.
I can't think of anything because I really can't get over this Pop-Tart sandwich.
Waffles.
Generally, when I don't have bread and I'm like trying to make a sandwich, I'm just like, well, I guess I can't make a sandwich because I have no bread.
Tortillas. Since we talked about tacos earlier, you can use that. My girlfriend is gluten intolerant, so she just makes sandwiches with all the materials that would have gone into a sandwich, but
that's
she
not
just
a fucking
wraps
sandwich
it up
anymore.
On its own.
That's a wrap.
Well, it's a wrap. But yeah,
if you got no bread,
just rolls up the meat and cheese with some lettuce and mustard and ketchup and eats
that does not any longer meet the definition of sandwich.
So what if you just stack more meat and cheese on the outside of it?
That's
then
right.
At what point does it become a sandwich?
The meat is the bread?
Yeah. You can also always do egg, like an omelet. Fold it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then it's an omelet.
That's an omelet.
An omelet is literally just a sandwich where the egg is the bread.
Oh, I don't know. You guys are playing fast and loose with this one.
Tell me wrong.
He started off with Pop-Tarts. There were no wrong answers. He starts off
That's
with
a good
Pop-Tarts.
point.
That's fair.
Manly, I want follow-up for next week. Please tell me what the rest of that sandwich was. I want to know what was the middle of that sandwich.
It was just 2 Pop-Tarts. That's all it was.
Yeah. I put 2 Pop-Tarts together. Why didn't you understand?
Okay.
Nanuda Club says, oh, wait, were we supposed to? Yeah, no, we're good. Nanuda Club says, pick your poison. Bone-in wings or boneless wings? Also, thank you for the birthday wishes last week. Oh, you're welcome.
Happy birthday again.
Bone in or boneless wings? You will be judged on your answer.
Judge away. I'm going boneless. I don't even care.
Fuck
It's-
you.
So- listen. You're lying if you're saying wings are about the meat. Wings are not about the meat. Wings are about the sauce and the breading. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta say, if it's the best of the best, I'll take boneless. But I've had really bad boneless wings before, so it's like if they're guaranteed to be good, high quality, I'll take boneless.
Right.
If they're not, then I'm gonna go with bone in because it's kind of hard to mess up a bone in wing. But I've had some like nasty boneless wings before, so.
Anytime you separate the chicken meat from the bone prior to cooking it, you're really taking chances. You get less delicious meat that way. I truly believe that.
Look, man, if you could slather a McDonald's chicken nugget in some real good wing sauce, and it'll be fine, right? TV is right. It's about the wing sauce,
but it won't be as good
TV
as
is right.
a chicken
It's about
wing.
the wing sauce, though.
The sauce is the star.
Yeah.
I don't know,
For
man.
me.
Good chicken is good too.
And here's the thing: I make.
It's like trying to
homemade
choose
boneless
between the
wings,
bread
right,
and the
all
meat in a
time.
sandwich. You want both. You
We
want
just
both
take
good
a
chicken and
breast.
sauce.
It's not like it's a bad cut. It's not like some random processed meat. It's literally we just cube up chicken breast.
And it's not as much fun
we
to
double
eat
batter it.
chicken. It's not as much fun when you don't have it on the bone.
I can't shovel a bone in my mouth, Briar.
Yeah.
I can shovel boneless wings.
Oh my gosh.
I choose bone in. Obviously.
You would be boning.
Damn right. Zachary Richard says, let's be honest. When was the last time you ate your boogers?
I've never eaten my boogers.
Yeah,
Zachary, we
genuinely,
got to
I
have a
just
real
never
talk
have.
here.
We're counting
I like-
hours, right?
I like how he just assumes that was like something like, oh yeah, everybody.
Definitely pick my nose. 100%. I've not eaten it.
No, never once.
Nor
I don't
Trash
even think
cans
like when I was a
nowhere to be
little itty
found.
bitty kid I ever did it.
I still remember to this day one of my most vivid memories of middle school was a time when I was in home ec class, right? And I was front row. Teacher's doing a demonstration at the sewing machine. I'm front row. Whole class is gathered around us, and I'm up front and center. And I had to sneeze, and I was like, "Oh, there's something there." I went to grab it, and it strung like it was a string, right? A big old thing. This thing was like, it was a family of boogers. It was not, and I'm sitting here with this whole thing in my hand. I'm like, what do? I'm surrounded by my peers and the girl I have a crush on. And I remember I went with the let's just pocket it technique. I put it in my pocket. At the end of the day, I turned that sucker inside out. It was a crime scene.
Oh. That's
Wow.
when you just stand up and walk out of the room.
I gotta
And if
take
you
it
get in
with me.
trouble, if the teacher yells at you for just leaving, you just let it be and just say,
Just say I nearly pooped my pants. And I'd say
you don't explain anything. You
pants.
just take the
Literally,
detention.
there's a one-word excuse to anytime you excuse yourself from a situation. There's a one-word excuse. All you have to do is say the word diarrhea. People will not question anything.
They don't want to know anything
They're
more.
just like, you know
I
what?
got
You
this,
just you do. Literally, the cops could be chasing your one.
Yeah.
You're like diarrhea. They're like, look, do your thing. So,
Blaney McBlanderson says DCP has finally eaten Briar, and he was delicious.
Wonderful.
But now they face karmic retribution. Choose a punishment. Number 1, you find a short and curly hair of uncertain origin in every meal you ever eat. Or 2, the Bug Snacks theme song gets stuck in your head every time the moon rises and stays until it sets.
Do I have to look at the moon in order for the Bug Snack song to happen?
No, it's like being a werewolf. You don't have to see the moon. You just turn into
I'm
a
just gonna
werewolf.
go. I'm just gonna go with the Bug Snacks thing. Well, I mean, what's the worst that happens? Like just singing Bug Snacks all night? That's not so bad.
Yeah, that's better than finding a short and curly in every meal
I get
you
to
eat.
I get
That's
to
for
eat
sure.
Briar and sing Bug Snacks. That sounds like a great evening.
I mean, I'm a hairy guy, so I already pretty much find hair in every meal I eat, anyways. If I'm the one preparing it, so wouldn't even be any different for what's going on right now. I can
I
believe
get
it.
the long and curlies.
Yeah. so-
Twig says, not really. Oh, wait. Justin Camp says, if DCP got put into Fall Guys, who gets eliminated first and last? Me and Watts are out immediately, and then TV and Mercules fight for the win.
Yeah, that sounds pretty.
I'm
pretty
notoriously bad at that game, guys.
I've never played it, so I'll
I'm
give it
really
to TV
good at
on that.
everything but the final part and also grabbing tails.
Tails
So
is the
I'm
worst,
definitely not
man.
winning. I can't grab tails to save my life.
I think that
about
game is
Tails is
supposed to
Fran's
be
coming
kind of
in
different.
last, right? Fran's definitely. He's thinking too hard about how to be optimal. He's thinking about his like
right.
Fall Guys per hour, crowns per hour, something, and he's
And-
gonna fall.
And Tefty always wins this stuff because he's secretly
He
actually taking everything super seriously.
He's
Right.
like,
Like,
haha, fun game, fun chow game,
Yeah.
very funny. And then
Meanwhile,
he's, like, I
he's
will
sweaty
destroy you.
as fuck about everything we ever play.
And and Tefty's definitely pushing Fran off for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, whoever's closest is going to push him off, though. Twig says, not really a question, but I think I might have thought of something even more delicious than barbecue bryat, a tandoori tefty. That sounds great.
Tandoori Tefty does sound good. I don't know. Briar just seems like extra delicious, though. There's just, I don't know what it is. Just a barbecue Briar just sounds juicy, delicious, a great time. Tefty doesn't look as delicious.
Dreadnought says, what meals are better as leftovers as opposed to the moment it was cooked? I think pizza is almost always better as a leftover. Like if you put it back in the oven and heat it up so the bottom of the crust is crispy, it's almost always better than when it was fresh out of the oven when you first got it.
I like burgers, man. After I grill burgers, I always grill a couple extra because I like to eat them fresh off the grill. But I don't even heat them up again after I put them in the refrigerator. I'll eat
cold,
just a
burger?
cold burger next day. It's fantastic.
I do chili.
Chili is a good one.
I'll make like a huge batch of chili at the beginning of the week, and I'll just divvy it up into different containers, and then throughout the week while I'm streaming, that's my lunches.
That's
I
an
just
easy
reheat
microwave
homemade
too.
Chili. Oh my gosh, man, that's where it's at.
Yeah, and I swear to God, chili does get better. It's like the flavors all kind of meld in while it's sitting there.
Yeah, you just let it chill a bit. Yeah.
The Mohegan 9 says, work's been rough. Can you tell me your best dad joke? Anybody got a good dad joke?
Man.
Dad jokes, I don't feel like dad jokes are prepared.
Dad jokes have to be
They're
organic.
more like puns. Yeah.
That's
like
right.
you gotta hear something
You see
first.
an opportunity and you seize it. That's
Yeah.
a dad joke. Yeah.
And then you know it was a dad joke because everybody's groaning instead of laughing.
And that's when you're like, I got one. It was a good one. They hated it. I win.
Hugo Rude 79 says, emergency question. What's the most pretentious book you've ever bought but never read? You bought it, but you didn't read it.
I've never bought a book and not read it. I don't buy a ton of books in general anyways, because I have an iPhone and I just download them on that. But I've never bought a book that I haven't read. However, I did inherit my grandfather's library.
Oh,
So
nice.
a library.
I have a lot of his books and they're displayed in my living room. So it looks like I have an awesome library.
Oh,
I've never
I
read
think
anything.
that counts.
Yeah,
You drink whiskey in there and feel refined.
I do. And there's an antique wooden globe that I sit next to in a leather
Wow.
chair and some plants. That's
We're going to
actually
need a picture of this. I think we
Yeah,
need
I'll-
to
I need a
put on
picture.
like a smoking jacket or a robe to get
Yeah.
a nice seat there with a snifter of whiskey.
And then, the problem is immediately next to the bookcase is another bookcase, but it's just filled with Legos.
That's
So
not a
it's
problem.
It's not like
Not
yeah,
a
it's not like
problem.
too pretentious. It's like we
I'm
like to have
smart,
fun too.
But I'm here
Yeah.
to party. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, do the books that you bought at college but never read count? Because there's like, remember
never
there's
bought
a
those.
syllabus. Here's all the books that
in-
you're required to buy, but
I
you
think
don't.
the question is
never
more
open 'em?
geared towards. I think if I'm reading the feel of the question correct, I don't think that counts. You're still required to buy that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just never bought those books anyways. I mean, I would borrow other people's, or like, that's pretty much it. Those books were expensive, man. I had
Yeah,
student loans, but student loans weren't going towards books. They were going towards, partying and having a good time.
Okay,
I
it's
was
not a
boring in
book,
college.
but I think it meets the criteria. I bought Nier Automata, but I've never played it.
Do you
Right?
display it though, so people can see that you have it?
That's right.
Oh well, yeah, there it is.
I don't plan on playing it either. Last question of the night, and then we can all go and eat. JP Warner says the DCP crew crash on a deserted. Excuse me. DCP crew crash on a deserted island. Everyone but Briar has broken legs. My question is, how are you going to prepare and eat the rest of the crew, Briar Rabbit? Oh, I'm going to
that's
keep
the end
them
of the show.
all alive for a very long time. And I'm going to take just little pieces
Until
out
our
of each
legs
of them.
grow back, and then we can eat Briar.
Oh, maybe
Wonderful.
I should start with the legs.
Briar is giving us a head start to where we can crawl after him and eat him. If there are a group of DCP members
This
and
has
we
gone
all
terribly
come
wrong.
together to crawl after him and attack him,
This
I
was
think
supposed
we
to
win.
be my moment, and it's just terrible.
I think we can take him.
I think so. I agree.
Damn
it.
So thanks for going slowly and thinking about this, making your DCP per hour cookbook.
And that is what DCP thinks about the Destiny content vault.
And sandwiches and just everything.
Yep.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being on. Mercules, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Mercules904. You can find me on the Fire Range podcast every other Wednesday. We're going to be recording next Wednesday, so tune in on this same channel, actually. And you can also find me on the Destiny Massive Breakdowns podcast. That's on pretty much all podcast platforms. And if you see on Reddit anything that's posted with the title Massive Breakdowns or Weapon Stat Spreadsheet or anything like that, that's also probably mine, so you can look on there.
Perfect.
T-Von?
You can find me at truevanguard.com. That'll take you to wherever and whenever I'm live streaming. Or Twitter, The True Vanguard. YouTube, True Vanguard.
I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me staring at a IKEA instruction booklet with confusion on my face.
And that's the show.
That's going to do it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you.
Bye.
I can't find the button.
We're still here.